The beautiful teaching assistant will have 3 kids for me, and the entire school is shocked. Freshman enrollment season. As a junior, Xiao Fei came to the school gate to welcome freshmen as usual. Unexpectedly, he ran into the new goddess teacher Tang Yuxin and found that she was the girl who spent a night with him in the hotel a year ago. What Xiao Fei didn't expect was that Tang Yuxin was pregnant with his children. And 3. So, under the eyes of the students, the two began to live together shamelessly. Chapter 1: The New Female Teacher. Blue Star. In the boys' dormitory of the Magic City University of Science and Technology. Xiao Fei sat at his desk, furiously typing away at his computer, his hands almost smoking from the effort. Hurry up, slow down. Finally, just before the end of the month, he uploaded the last 2 chapters. Har. Xiao Fei let out a long sigh of relief. He'd managed to maintain perfect attendance for the month. He was a third-year student and also an online writer. Due to his poor family background, after coming to the Magic City for university, Xiao Fei started making money by writing online novels, relying on his unique talent, sarcasm and witty remarks. At first, no one really read his work. But with relentless effort, he quickly earned his first bucket of gold. Though it wasn't a lot, for a university student like Xiao Fei, it was enough. At least, he didn't have to ask his family for living expenses anymore. Just as Xiao Fei was about to close his computer and get up to stretch, his roommate Zhongbo slapped him on the shoulder and lewdly said, "Xiao, stop typing. Come take a look at the new female teacher in our school. She's gorgeous, with an amazing figure. Those long legs, tsk tsk tsk." Upon hearing Zhongbo's sleazy tone, the other 2 single roommates quickly dropped what they were doing and popped their heads out from their beds. "Where's the beauty? Let me see. Wow, is this the new female teacher at our school? She is so beautiful. Looks even younger than me. Is this for real? With that perfect figure and those 36 ds. She could totally be a model. How could she possibly be a teacher here?" Seeing his roommates drool over the photo, Zhongbo flipped his hair proudly and said, "Heh, pretty stunning, right? She is our new teaching assistant, named Tang Yuxin. I spent quite a while at the academic office today to sneak this photo. Don't mention it. I'll post it in our dorm group chat, you guys can admire it, but don't spread it around." Hearing Zhongbo's words, the 2 roommates immediately pulled out their phones and clicked on the photo. The picture showed a tall, beautiful woman in a black bodycon skirt, her long legs tightly wrapped in stockings. She was wearing high heels and gracefully walking out of the academic office. Her stunning figure from behind was enough to make anyone's blood rush. Her delicate oval face, willow-shaped eyebrows, and cherry lips. Not only was she beautiful, but her body was also out of this world, especially her captivating eyes, which were as clear and mesmerizing as autumn water. One glance and you would fall deep into them. Everything about her was so breathtaking. Seeing the woman in the photo, the 3 roommates couldn't help but swallow. Curious, Xiao Fei also took out his phone and opened the WeChat group to take a look. When he saw the photo, he was immediately stunned. What the heck? Why does this woman look so familiar? Xiao Fei's mind quickly started running, and he soon remembered. Damn. Isn't this the woman I met a year ago when I went back to my hometown for a friend's birthday party? I accidentally drank too much. I met this beautiful woman outside a bar. At that time, Xiao Fei couldn't hold his liquor and started feeling dizzy after just a few drinks. He excused himself to go to the bathroom, hoping to head home early and sleep. But who knew, just as he was about to leave the bar, he ran into this drunk woman. The rest of what happened, Xiao Fei couldn't really remember. When he woke up the next day, he found himself in a hotel, and lying next to him was an unbelievably sexy woman. She looked to be under 30. The woman soon woke up, looked at Xiao Fei with a complex expression, and said, "Just pretend nothing happened last night. I won't hold you responsible." She then got up and left the hotel, leaning on the wall for support. Since then, Xiao Fei had never seen her again. But who would have guessed that he'd run into her again at school, and now, she was going to be his teacher. What a crazy coincidence. The next day. Today was the first day of the new semester for freshmen. As per tradition, the third-year students were tasked with welcoming the new students at the school gate. Xiao Fei was no exception. The third-year finance students were sending half of their class to greet the new freshmen. Of course, many of them volunteered to do so, including Zhang Bo. Having been single for 3 years, he was eager to experience a college romance. After breakfast in the cafeteria, Xiao Fei and Zhang Bo headed to the school gate. With Xiao Fei's good looks and impressive height of over 1.8 meters, he quickly attracted the attention of the new students. Wow, that senior over there is so handsome. Yeah, he is almost killing me with his looks. I have to go ask him for his WeChat first, beat the competition before someone else steals him. Hey, no one is allowed to compete with me, I saw him first. Early in the morning, Xiao Fei was already surrounded by a group of eager female freshmen. Facing the overwhelming attention, Xiao Fei could only smile wryly and step back, letting Zhang Bo handle the eager girls. Just then, the sound of high heels clicking against the pavement echoed. A graceful figure emerged from the crowd. Xiao Fei looked up and realized the person approaching was a strikingly sexy woman. And her face seemed vaguely familiar. She was dressed in a professional OL outfit, her slender waist swaying as she walked, unfazed by the fervent gazes of the male students around her. She wore a calm, even somewhat distant expression. Who asked that beautiful woman? Is she a senior in our department? I don't know, but her body, it's incredible. Stop fantasizing, that's our new teacher, Tang Yuxin. You guys don't stand a chance. Upon hearing the last line, the male students all sighed in disappointment. They watched as Tang Yuxin walked toward them. Since Xiao Fei was surrounded by a group of girls, Tang Yuxin didn't see her old acquaintance. She reached the group, raised her hand, and calmly said, "Hello, I'm Tang Yuxin. I'll be your advisor for the freshman finance class from now on. I hope you all will cooperate with my work in the future." As soon as she finished speaking, the students applauded. Especially the male students, who were clapping extra enthusiastically. "Welcome, Professor Tang. We'll definitely cooperate with your work in the future." Facing the students' enthusiastic response, Tang Yuxin simply nodded and was about to turn to leave. But just then, the girls parted, and Xiao Fei's chiseled face appeared in front of her. She froze for a moment. Her previously calm expression flickered with surprise. "You? Just like that night a year ago." She widened her eyes and stared at Xiao Fei, who was equally staring at Tang Yuxin. When Xiao Fei saw her face, his memories of that night flooded back. The two of them stared at each other in shock. They even forgot that there were so many students watching them. At this moment, everyone was frozen in place, surprised, watching the two of them. What is going on? Do they know each other? Actually, they knew each other quite well. They had once shared the same bed. Chapter 2, Fatherly Love as Steady as a Mountain. Upon noticing the curious looks from the students, Tang Yuxin coughed twice, adjusted her emotions, and pretended not to recognize Xiao Fei. You all shouldn't stand around here anymore," she said calmly. "Take your luggage and hurry to find your dorm with the seniors." After saying this, she gave Xiao Fei a knowing glance and turned to leave. Xiao Fei understood the signal and nodded in response. Once the new students had all left, he quietly walked in the direction Tang Yuxin had gone. The two walked in silence, one following the other. After leaving the school, they arrived at a quiet street and stopped. They looked at each other, both feeling awkward. The atmosphere was a bit strange, especially since it had been a year since they last met. Before this, there had been no real connection between them, only that one night's fleeting encounter. How have you been?" Tang Yuxin broke the silence first. Pretty good," Xiao Fei answered calmly without much hesitation. "And you? How has this year been for you?" It was a simple question, but for some reason, it seemed to trigger something sensitive in Tang Yuxin, and her eyes started to redden. Woo-woo tears suddenly welled up and spilled from her eyes. Even when crying, the beautiful woman still had an elegance to her. Seeing Tang Yuxin suddenly cry, Xiao Fei panicked, unsure how to comfort her. He could only pull out a tissue and ask, "What's wrong?" "Don't cry." Tang Yuxin took the tissue and wiped away her tears. Then, she looked up at him seriously and said, "I've had 3 children, and they are all yours." "Xiao Fei? 3 children?" The words struck him like a thunderclap, leaving him stunned. He looked at Tang Yuxin in disbelief. What kind of international joke was this? 3 children? Was it possible that the encounter from a year ago had resulted in 3? Xiao Fei felt that this was absolutely absurd. "You don't believe me?" Tang Yuxin seemed to have expected this reaction. She clenched her fists, a little embarrassed, and said, "I got pregnant after that night and I've only been with you." Xiao Fei stood there, still finding it hard to believe. This was too overwhelming. Becoming a father out of nowhere was a huge thing, and he wasn't about to wear the title without being sure. If these were his children, he would take responsibility. But if they weren't? Tang Yuxin knew that simply saying it wouldn't convince him. So, she stopped a taxi and gestured for Xiao Fei to follow her. Xiao Fei didn't know what Tang Yuxin was planning, but to figure out if he was indeed a father, he decided to follow her into the cab. Half an hour later, they arrived at a residential area on the outskirts of town. Tang Yuxin's place was about 20 kilometers from the school. The round trip would usually take over an hour just for the commute. To save money, she had to get up early each day and take 3 subway lines to reach school. She didn't complain about this. In fact, she seemed to enjoy the routine. We've arrived, Tang Yuxin said, leading Xiao Fei to a shabby residential building. They climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor, where she lived. Once inside the apartment, Xiao Fei looked around. It was a small place, but well arranged, just a simple 2-bedroom layout. The furniture and decorations were minimal, a wooden sofa, a few chairs, and 2 beds. There was even no TV. Xiao Fei also noticed the coffee table, which was covered with diapers and various sizes of formula cans. Just as Xiao Fei was observing, the bedroom door opened, and a middle-aged woman in her 40s stepped out. "Tang miss, you're back. I just changed the baby's diapers. They are all asleep now." Tang Yuxin nodded and then introduced Xiao Fei. "This is my nanny, Aunt Wang." "Hello," Xiao Fei greeted politely. "Hello," Aunt Wang said, looking Xiao Fei up and down. Suddenly realizing something, she smiled and said, "You two chat. I'll go out to buy some groceries." With that, she left the living room. Tang Yuxin then led Xiao Fei to the bedroom. Once inside, Xiao Fei was shocked by the sight before him. On a large double bed, 3 plump, fair babies were lying there, fast asleep. They were arranged neatly, looking incredibly adorable. The middle baby, a little boy, looked like a tiny meatball, and Xiao Fei couldn't help but want to reach out and touch him. Seeing this, Xiao Fei was frozen in place. "These are all my children?" he asked in disbelief. "Millimeter," Tang Yuxin nodded. Just then, a strange sound echoed in Xiao Fei's mind. Ding! The fatherly love as steady as a mountain system has been activated. Congratulations, host. You've successfully met your children. You are rewarded with 500,000 yuan. Note, all future funds will be transferred legally and securely into their host's account. Please feel free to use them. A system. As a web novel writer, Xiao Fei was no stranger to systems. But he never expected that after writing so many stories, it would finally be his turn to be bound to a system. Quickly calming his excitement, Xiao Fei asked in his mind, "System, can you explain your functions?" "Sure, host. This is the fatherly love as steady as a mountain system, designed to help the host become a qualified and excellent father. As long as the host takes good care of the children, rewards will be granted. The system will also issue tasks from time to time. Completing these tasks will yield even greater rewards." After hearing the system's explanation, Xiao Fei understood the basic functions. As long as he took good care of the children, he would earn rewards. Completing tasks would bring even better rewards. And right now, he had 3 children. While Xiao Fei wasn't sure exactly how to care for them, he decided to give it a try for the sake of the rewards. Chapter 3 Stock Market Trend Chart. Drop. New Dad's Task 1 released, please feed the child. Reward, Stock Market Trend Chart. With this function, you can get the detailed trend of any stock in the next 7 days. Just when Xiao Fei was stunned, the system suddenly issued a task. A chart showing the stock market trend. This is a good thing. The stock market is so hot recently. With this function, making money in the stock market wouldn't be a piece of cake, right? Thinking this, Xiao Fei slowly walked to the bed. He leaned over and looked at the 3 babies on the bed with gentle eyes. They look so cute. With round heads and pink cheeks, they are like 2 little balls of flesh, making people want to kiss them. I don't know why, but I saw them sleeping sweetly in bed. A feeling of blood connection instantly emerged in Xiao Fei's heart, making him feel extremely happy. At this time, Tang Yuxin came over. She sat on the bed and introduced them to Xiao Fei, they are triplets. The one on the far left is Dabao, he is a boy, the one in the middle is Erbao, and the one on the right is Sanbao, they are all girls. What are they called? Xiao Fei asked with a trembling voice. Tang Yuxin lowered her head and did not answer the question. Not long after the child was born, she was busy working again. Besides, she didn't know where the child's father was, so she naturally had no intention of naming the child. Can I hug them? Xiao Fei continued to ask. I don't know if I sense my father's arrival. The babies who were originally sleeping soundly opened their eyes one by one and stared at Xiao Fei intently. Well, be careful. Tang Yuxin could see that Xiao Fei really liked children, so she agreed to let him hold the child. She first picked up Dabao and put him in Xiao Fei's arms. Raise your arms higher, yes. Hold your head like this. Tang Yuxin explained to Xiao Fei patiently. Xiao Fei learned quickly and in no time he knew how to hold a baby. Although this was his first time holding a child, he felt very safe. Dabao didn't cry or make a fuss, he just stared at the man in front of him who looked somewhat similar to him. Looking at Dabao in his arms, Xiao Fei felt indescribably excited. This is my own child. Ayer. Dabao seemed to know that the man in front of him was his father, and suddenly began to babble. Seeing this, Xiao Fei couldn't help but scratch Dabao's nose, with an indulgent smile on his face. See this heartwarming scene. Tang Yuxin, who was standing aside, suddenly had tears in her eyes. After 10 months of pregnancy, I finally gave birth to 3 babies. I thought they would grow up without fatherly love. Now, by chance, I meet him again. It seems that all this is arranged by God. Xiao Fei carefully put Dabao back on the bed, and then picked up Erbao. Then, when he was about to pick up Sanbao. Don't. Sanbao is very shy. Besides me, even if Aunt Wan holds her, she will. Before Tang Yuxin could finish her words, Xiao Fei had already picked up Sanbao. He turned around and looked at Tang Yuxin in confusion. What? Nothing. Tang Yuxin frowned and looked at Sanbao who was laughing so hard in Xiao Fei's arms. She was speechless for a moment. Why did this girl suddenly become so unwilling to be with strangers? It was obvious that before, no one could hold her except her, and even Aunt Wan would cry when she held her. Is this what they call a blood connection? Xiao Fei lowered his head and looked at Sanbao in his arms, his expression seeming somewhat proud. That's not. Don't you even look at whose baby it is. I saw Xiao Fei sitting by the bed, having a lot of fun playing with the 3 babies. Tang Yuxin seemed to have thought of something embarrassing, and walked over while biting her lip lightly. That. Can you lend me some money? Speaking of this, Tang Yuxin's pretty face suddenly turned red. I haven't received my salary for this month yet, and I have to pay the rent tomorrow. I'm still a few $100s short, so. Xiao Fei put down the 3 treasures, stood up and looked at Tang Yuxin. What's your WeChat? I'll add you. Tang Yuxin didn't hesitate and directly took out her mobile phone and opened her WeChat QR code. Xiao Fei scanned and added Tang Yuxin's WeChat. Not long after, Tang Yuxin saw Xiao Fei transfer 50,000 yuan to her. Before she could be surprised. Then, there were several more transfers. Without exception, all of them were large transfers of 50,000 yuan. For transactions totaling 200,000 yuan. The highest amount transferred on WeChat in a single day is 200,000 yuan. I'll give you this much today. When you run out of it after a while, I'll give you more. When I saw the child just now. The system rewarded Xiao Fei with 500,000. Xiao Fei didn't feel sorry at all when he gave 200,000 yuan to Tang Yuxin. What's more, this money is for the children. Raising 3 children requires a lot of daily expenses. Thanks. Looking at the WeChat transfer interface. Tang Yuxin was so moved that she was speechless for a moment. But soon, she remembered something and asked in confusion, I met you at school today. You should also be a student of Jietong University, right? How do you have so much money? I earned it myself. Xiao Fei said confidently. You earned it yourself. How did you earn it? Tang Yuxin was a little bit unconvinced. I'm trading stocks. The stock market has been hot lately. Xiao Fei explained with a smile. He couldn't tell Tang Yuxin that the money was a reward from the system, right? After all, he didn't plan to tell anyone that he had the system. After hearing what Xiao Fei said, Tang Yuxin didn't ask any more questions. Although she doesn't trade stocks, she has heard from others how hot the stock market has been recently. It seems that as long as you invest money, you can make a lot of money. Her family doesn't have much money. Her father is an employee of a state-owned enterprise and her mother is a housewife. The family's monthly income is less than 10,000 yuan. So after she became pregnant, she didn't dare tell her family. She could only rely on herself, earn money quietly, and give birth to 3 children. As a result, now, this man with whom I had an accidental relationship is actually so good at making money. However, Tang Yuxin also knows that stock trading is still very risky. Therefore, she kindly reminded him, the stock market is risky, you'd better. I know. Xiao Fei nodded, don't worry, although I'm not as good as Buffett, I still have a thorough understanding of the stock market. Speaking of stock trading, Xiao Fei suddenly remembered the task that the system had just issued. Just feed your baby and you can get a weekly stock market trend chart. If you have this thing, even if Buffett comes, he can't beat him. Thinking of this reward, Xiao Fei suddenly said, Yuxin, how about this? I don't have many classes in my junior year now. Starting tomorrow, I will take a leave of absence and come home to take care of the children. You can also work with peace of mind and save money on hiring a confinement nanny. Don't. Tang Yuxin shook her head and refused, study is more important. I can work harder to save the money for hiring a confinement nanny. Seeing this, Xiao Fei did not insist. Some things can't be rushed, you have to take your time. He could see that Tang Yuxin was still a little wary of him. Okay, but as a father, I also need to learn how to take care of a child. Can you teach me how to feed them? Sure. Tang Yuxin nodded, even a little happy. Then, under her guidance, Xiao Fei quickly prepared milk powder for the babies. The babies were not picky and drank it all with gulps. Looking at the 3 babies feeding, Xiao Fei felt his heart was about to melt. Drop. Congratulations to their host for completing the mission. Get reward, stock market trend chart. Chapter for sorry, we both have a baby. New Daddy Task 2 released, please change the diapers of 3 babies. Completion reward, 1 million cash. Just finished the first mission. Immediately afterwards, the system released the second task. And the reward for this mission is actually 1 million in cash. This is so cool. Hearing the prompt sound of the system in his mind, Xiao Fei's mouth corners unconsciously raised up. See the smile on Xiao Fei's face. Tang Yuxin asked, very cute, right? My child, of course is cute. Xiao Fei looked down at Sanbao who was drinking milk and said proudly. Finally, he looked up at Tang Yuxin and added, besides, the mother of the child is so beautiful, isn't it normal for the child to be cute? Tang Yuxin glared at Xiao Fei shyly. At this moment, she felt a sweet feeling in her heart. Before meeting Xiao Fei, Tang Yuxin hadn't felt this happy for a long time. That's right. I'll rent you a suite near the school tomorrow. You live so far away now, it's not convenient for you to go to school, and it's very tiring to go back and forth. Xiao Fei suggested. Hearing Xiao Fei's words, Tang Yuxin felt warm in her heart. However, she still shook her head and said, forget it. You are still studying now, so save as much as you can. As for the 200,000 yuan that Xiao Fei gave her, she decided to save the money, plan it well, and spend it all on her children. It doesn't matter if I work harder. Seeing that she refused, Xiao Fei didn't say anything more. By then, I will rent the house myself and finalize the matter. She will have no way to refuse even if she wants to. After feeding your baby. Tang Yuxin looked at the time and it was already late. So he said, you still have classes in the afternoon, why don't you go back first? Are you in such a hurry to get me out? Tang Yuxin didn't say anything. Faced with this sudden happiness, she seemed a little overwhelmed. Just as she was stunned, Xiao Fei suddenly reached out and held her soft hand tightly. Tang Yuxin wanted to pull her hand out. But Xiao Fei held on tightly and refused to let her pull it out. I know you may think that I am being nice to you because of the baby, but you don't know, actually, I have never forgotten you since that night. In the past year, several girls have confessed their love to me, but I rejected them all. Because I've always been looking forward to meeting you again someday. And the day I've been waiting for has finally come. Xiao Fei looked at Tang Yuxin affectionately. Hearing this confession, Tang Yuxin blushed slightly. A ripple arose deep in her heart, and her heartbeat began to accelerate. I have to admit that Xiao Fei is indeed excellent. Not only is he handsome, but he is also very responsible. That night, we were all drunk. Tang Yuxin lowered her head and murmured softly. I know. I was at a friend's birthday party that night and accidentally drank too much. What about you? Why are you drunk? Hearing this question, Tang Yuxin was slightly stunned, shook her head and said nothing. Seeing that she didn't want to talk, Xiao Fei didn't ask any further questions. Instead, he continued, maybe you don't believe what I just said, but time will prove everything. In the days ahead, I will learn to be a good husband and a good father, and provide a warm haven for you and the children. Actually, after that night, I have already decided. Stop talking. Tang Yuxin's voice was a little choked up. She couldn't help wanting to cry. I gave my first time to the man in front of me. If she said that she had no feelings for Xiao Fei, she would definitely be lying. She took a deep breath, looked at Xiao Fei, and said slowly, the reason why I got drunk that day was because a good friend of mine jumped off a building. She's one of my two best friends. She had a boyfriend before, and they were engaged. They were going to have their wedding in 2 months. But the night before, I saw that man coming out of the hotel with a woman. I told this to my friend. As a result, she jumped from her building that night. At that time, she was only 26 years old, in the prime of her life, but she left the world like this. This is all my fault. If I hadn't told her, she wouldn't. At this point, Tang Yuxin burst into tears. Seeing her crying like this, Xiao Fei felt distressed and held her in his arms, patting her back gently and comforting her. It's not your fault. If you don't tell her, it's like pushing her into the fire, and she will find out sooner or later after marriage. Tang Yuxin wiped her tears and broke free from Xiao Fei's arms. She blushed and nodded, well, you go back first. I want to be alone for a while. Although Xiao Fei didn't want to leave. But it was obvious that Tang Yuxin didn't want him to stay here. Xiao Fei had no choice but to get up and leave. Tang Yuxin walked him to the door. Only when Xiao Fei's figure disappeared in the corridor did she sigh and return to the bedroom. After leaving the rental house, Xiao Fei called a Didi and went straight back to school. As soon as I entered the dormitory, I heard the sounds of several roommates playing games. Come on, Bozy. Don't be scared, just do it to him. You F-king bastard, this is so empty. I told you to watch less movies, but you can even spare Angela's big one. I really admire you. The 3 roommates were so absorbed in gaining points that they didn't even notice Xiao Fei had returned. Xiao Fei didn't care. He returned to his seat, turned on the computer on the desk, logged into the school's official website, and searched for Tang Yuxin's information in the faculty and staff column. Soon, detailed information about Tang Yuxin popped up on the screen. Looking at the blue background photo of Tang Yuxin on the screen, Xiao Fei couldn't help but smile foolishly. Master's degree from Peking University, 27 years old this year. It seems that she is still a top student. But think about it, anyone who can come to teach at Shanghai Jiaotong University must at least have a master's degree from a key university. Even if you have a PhD, you may not be able to get into an ordinary school. At this moment, Zhang Bo, who had just finished a game, suddenly came over and saw the photo on the computer screen. He smiled frivolously and said, "Oh, isn't this Goddess Tang? Brother Xiao, tell me the truth, are you planning to take advantage of Goddess Tang? When I was picking up the new students today, I noticed that the way you looked at her was not right. Let me tell you, if you want to pursue Goddess Tang, the competition is extremely fierce. I heard that many male teachers are madly pursuing her." Hearing this, Xiao Fei smiled. Competition is fierce. Sorry, we both have kids. Why do we need to compete with them? You are dreaming. Chapter 5 Moving to a New Home. The next day, Xiao Fei got up very early. Today is a rare day without classes. After a quick wash, he changed his clothes and prepared to go out. Brother Xiao, where are you going so early in the morning? Wu Zitao, Xiao Fei's roommate who was sleeping in the bed opposite him, heard the noise and asked in a half-asleep state. Something happened. I need to go out for a while. Xiao Fei answered perfunctorily. Oh. Wu Zitao turned over and fell asleep again. The 3 of them played games until the early hours of the morning last night and are now so sleepy that they can't even open their eyes. Xiao Fei didn't pay much attention to his roommate and turned to leave the dormitory. On the way, as he walked, He opened the house rental app he had just downloaded and searched for houses near the school. It would be best if it could accommodate 2 adults and 3 children. The price is easy to negotiate. After all, the money rewarded by the system is more than enough. If you are going to live with your wife and children, you must choose a better one. If you encounter an unscrupulous landlord who rents out your room to another and uses decoration materials that are harmful to your health, then it will not be worth it. Xiao Fei quickly browsed the rental software and soon found a rental house he liked. He contacted the agent and went to see the property immediately. It's really good, and not much different from what is described in the software. The community is very quiet, surrounded by green trees and beautifully maintained flower beds. Although the flat community is not as luxurious and comfortable as a single-family villa, it is quiet and clean. Moreover, the layout is reasonable and the apartment type is also very good. 3 bedrooms, 1 living room, plus an entrance garden, made Xiao Fei very satisfied. So, in less than half an hour, Xiao Fei decided on this house. The monthly rent is 5,000 yuan, 2 deposits and 1 payment. In Shanghai, this rent is already very cheap. After renting a house, the time came to 12 noon. Xiao Fei took out his cell phone and called Tang Yuxin directly. Not long after, the call was connected. Hey, Yuxin. Where are you now? Xiao Fei asked with concern. I'm eating in the staff cafeteria. Tang Yuxin's voice seemed a little flustered. I see. Xiao Fei said with some regret, I wanted to ask you to come out for dinner. No need. The food in the staff cafeteria is delicious and cheap. Tang Yuxin quickly refused. All right. Xiao Fei nodded and said, I just rented a house near the school. If you don't have classes in the afternoon, let's go back and move in together. Hearing Xiao Fei's words, Tang Yuxin was a little surprised and asked, why are you renting a house? Didn't I tell you that you don't have to rent a house for me? You're wasting money. Xiao Fei said forcefully, what's the waste? You live so far away from school now. It will waste several hours every day to come to school. If you can move closer to the school, it will be convenient for me to take care of the baby. Isn't this the best of both worlds? All right. Xiao Fei's tough attitude forced Tang Yuxin to compromise. Soon, it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Tang Yuxin called Xiao Fei and said that she had finished her class for the day. The two agreed to meet at the snack street outside the school. Not long after, Tang Yuxin appeared in Xiao Fei's sight. Xiao Fei smiled and greeted her. Looking at Tang Yuxin's shy face, he asked softly, how was your first day of class? Those junior brothers and sisters shouldn't have made things difficult for you, right? Not bad. Tang Yuxin raised her head and lowered her eyes and said, is the house you rented expensive? Xiao Fei shook his head and said, it's not expensive, you can live here without worry. I rented a regular apartment in a residential complex, only 2 kilometers away from the school. It's a 3-bedroom, 1 living room house, with enough rooms. Hearing that the school was so close, Tang Yuxin looked a little happy. After all, it's close. After class, she will be able to see the babies earlier. She looked at Xiao Fei tenderly and whispered, thank you. Why are you being so polite to me? Come on, I'll take you to move. In order to save money, Tang Yuxin originally wanted to take the subway back. But Xiao Fei didn't give her the chance to practice at all, and directly reached out to stop a taxi. Half an hour later, the two returned to Tang Yuxin's apartment together. As soon as I entered the door, I saw Aunt Wang in the living room, coaxing her 3 children. Ms. Tang, Mr. Xiao. You guys are back. Seeing the 2 people appear, Aunt Wang came out to greet them warmly. After Xiao Fei left yesterday, she deliberately pulled Tang Yuxin aside to chat for a while. Soon, she found out that Xiao Fei was the father of the child who had never appeared. Although she didn't know much. But as soon as they met Xiao Fei, he gave Tang Yuxin a large sum of money. Her opinion of Xiao Fei, the irresponsible father, also changed a lot in an instant. After all, during this period of time, I have to take care of 3 babies. She knew only too well how hard Tang Yuxin worked. Now that the child's father has finally appeared and is so responsible to Tang Yuxin, Aunt Wang is happy for Tang Yuxin from the bottom of her heart. By the way, Aunt Wang. Just as Aunt Wang was stunned, Xiao Fei suddenly said, thank you so much for taking care of our Yuxin during this period. When Tang Yuxin heard Xiao Fei calling her like that, her pretty face suddenly turned red. Oh, what are you thanking me for? When Aunt Wang saw Xiao Fei coming over and taking Sanbao from her arms, she smiled even more brightly. That's right, Aunt Wang. Yusin and I rented a house near Shanghai Jiatong University. It's much bigger than this apartment, and the community environment is also very good. Look, can you go over there and help us take care of the kids? While teasing Sanbao, Xiao Fei talked to Aunt Wang. Of course. To be honest, it's closer for me to go to Shanghai Jiatong University than to come here. Hearing Aunt Wang say this, Xiao Fei immediately made the decision, okay, let's move there now. Aunt Wang, you can come with us. I'll have to trouble you to take care of Yuxin and the 3 babies in the future. To celebrate our move to a new home, Aunt Wang, I will increase your salary by 50% from the original amount. Hearing this, Aunt Wang laughed so hard that she couldn't stop smiling. Work is moving closer to home. Salaries have also increased, who would be unhappy? Tang Yuxin had no objection to this. Because Aunt Wang has really taken good care of her during this period, it is only right that she gets a salary increase. Immediately, the 3 of them began to pack their luggage. Tang Yuxin didn't have much stuff, so it could all fit in one suitcase. The most common things in the house are the 3 babies' things. Things like milk powder, diapers, and clothes cannot be packed into several large cardboard boxes. The strong contrast made Xiao Fei feel a little distressed. After packing up, Xiao Fei called the moving company. Then he took Tang Yuxin and Aunt Wang to the rose garden community near the school. Entering the living room and looking at the spacious house in front of her, Tang Yuxin could hardly close her eyes. She looked at Xiao Fei, who was busy moving luggage at the door, and suddenly heard Aunt Wang behind her say, "Miss Tang, you have a good eye. Mr. Xiao is a good man. Now that your family is finally reunited, your future will surely get better and better." Hearing Aunt Wang's words, Tang Yuxin's pretty face turned slightly red. "Thank you, Aunt Wang," Tang Yuxin said softly. At this moment, her heart was full of happiness. Chapter 6: Complete the assessment and get double rewards. 20 minutes later, Xiao Fei packed up all the things he brought. Just at this moment, Bao, who was held in Aunt Wang's arms, suddenly burst into tears. "Ouch. My dear, did you poop?" As she said this, Aunt Wang prepared to pick up the second baby and go find a replacement diaper. Seeing this scene, Xiao Fei suddenly remembered the task released by the system yesterday. So he hurriedly stopped Aunt Wang and said, "Aunt Wang, let me do it. Teach me how to change a baby's diaper. After all, I have to learn how to take care of the baby in the future, right?" Hearing this, Aunt Wang was even happier. Because few new dads are willing to take the initiative to change their baby's diapers. "Okay. Go get the diaper and I'll teach you how to change your baby's diaper." As soon as Aunt Wang finished speaking, Xiao Fei took out a large bag of diapers from the cabinet. With Aunt Wang's patient teaching, Xiao Fei quickly learned how to change diapers for his baby. In just a few minutes, he changed the diaper for the second baby. Just then, the system's voice sounded. "Drop. Congratulations to their host, you have completed the Novice Dad 2 mission and will be rewarded with 1 million cash. Since their host has successfully completed all the assessments for a novice nanny and has become a qualified novice nanny, special rewards, advanced cooking skills and a marrow cleansing pill." Advanced cooking skills. As an all-around nanny, you must have excellent cooking skills. With this skill, their host will gain skills that are no less than those of a state banquet chef. Marrow cleansing pill. Raising 3 babies requires tremendous energy. After taking this pill, their host will undergo a baptism from the inside out, gaining powerful physical strength, and also greatly improving the host's appearance. The system has just finished speaking. Xiao Fei felt a bottle-shaped object in his pocket. At the same time, a lot of knowledge about cooking flooded into my mind. Soon, he absorbed all this knowledge. Xiao Fei felt that even if he went to a 5-star hotel and applied for the position of head chef there would probably be no problem. Having acquired new skills, Xiao Fei naturally wanted to show them off. He put down the second baby in his arms, looked at Tang Yuxin and said, "Yuxin, there is a vegetable market nearby. I'm going to buy some groceries now, and I'll cook for you guys tonight." Hearing this, Tang Yuxin turned her head in surprise. "You can also cook?" "Of course." Xiao Fei raised his eyebrows and said proudly, "Whatever you want to eat tonight, I can make it for you. I can do anything," Tang Yuxin said with a smile. Aunt Wang also nodded, but naturally did not dare to make any requests. So, under the expectant gaze of the two people, Xiao Fei left home humming a little tune. After Xiao Fei left, Antoine couldn't help but turn around and said to Tang Yuxin, "Miss Tang, it seems that you really found a good husband." "No way." After hearing what Antoine said, Tang Yuxin blushed with shyness. "Ms. Tang, please stop being so modest. Look at my wife, don't even think about cooking for the children. I've been married to him for so many years, and I've only seen him enter the kitchen a few times." As soon as the topic came up, Antoine seemed to be able to talk. In front of Tang Yuxin, she kept complaining about her husband, while at the same time not forgetting to praise Xiao Fei. Faced with Antoine's flattery, Tang Yuxin appeared calm on the surface, but she was already beaming with joy in her heart. After all, her man is so outstanding, how can she not be happy? Next, the two of them sat on the sofa. I started playing with the three babies, touching the eldest baby's head, scratching the second baby's nose, and pinching the third baby's ears. The three babies were so amused that they couldn't stop laughing. Soon, Xiao Fei came back after buying groceries. He was carrying large and small bags containing all kinds of food. Antoine and Tang Yuxin were dumbfounded when they saw this. "You're going to cook all these dishes?" "Yes." Faced with Tang Yuxin's nonsense question, Xiao Fei replied helplessly. Then he carried the ingredients, walked into the kitchen, and started working. Out of curiosity, Tang Yuxin put on her slippers and quietly walked to the kitchen door. Want to see how good Xiao Fei's cooking skills are? The result. You won't know until you see it, and you'll be shocked when you see it. In the kitchen, Xiao Fei was holding a kitchen knife, chopping left and right, with a very skillful technique. In just a few minutes, several portions of meat and vegetables were prepared. Then he picked up the radishes beside him, placed them neatly on the chopping board, and began to slice them. Da. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of a kitchen knife hitting a chopping board could be heard. Xiao Fei standing in the kitchen looked like the Chinese chef boy. The kitchen knife in his hand was so fast that an afterimage was almost left. He placed all the processed ingredients neatly on the plate. Next, heat the oil in a pan. Add ingredients to pot. A crackling sound was heard in the kitchen. Seeing this scene, Tang Yuxin was completely dumbfounded. She never thought that Xiao Fei was such a good cook. On the other side, Aunt Wang, who was taking care of three babies in the living room, also smelled a strong fragrance. Gulp. She couldn't help swallowing. Then he put down the three treasures in his hand and walked towards the kitchen. Seeing Xiao Fei showing off his skills in the kitchen, Aunt Wang was stunned. This boy is amazing. She couldn't help but let out a sigh. If ordinary people cook, it is just to fill their stomachs. Xiao Fei in front of him has obviously turned cooking into an art. I saw him waving the spatula in his hand, like a conductor of an orchestra, directing the ingredients to play a beautiful piece of music in the iron pot. That's not all. Every movement of Xiao Fei was so smooth and pleasing to the eye. Watching him cook is like watching an art performance. What are you doing standing at the door? Realizing there was someone behind him, Xiao Fei looked back and asked in confusion. You? Tang Yuxin opened her mouth wide and said in disbelief, "How come you are so good at cooking? Look at the movements you made just now, it was like you were filming a movie." No, not even in movies is this exaggerated. Antoine was standing aside and couldn't help but nod repeatedly. Regarding Xiao Fei's cooking skills, she said that she had never seen such a thing in her entire life. Nothing special, just practice makes perfect. Xiao Fei smiled and joked. Although he can cook, he received rewards from the system. His cooking skills have improved by leaps and bounds. Even better than those so-called Michelin 3-star chefs. At this time, Xiao Fei even developed a sense of confidence that no one could surpass him in the field of cooking. See the confident smile on Xiao Fei's face. Tang Yuxin's heart, which had been silent for a long time, seemed to be hit by something. When she met Xiao Fei's gaze again, she felt a little confused and wanted to run away shyly. But she couldn't bear to miss such a wonderful moment. Watching Xiao Fei cook is simply a visual feast. Chapter 7 Land Rover Defender. Not long after, 8 delicious meals were freshly prepared. Tang Yuxin and Antoine walked into the kitchen and brought the dishes to the table one by one. Finally, Xiao Fei came out with 3 sets of bowls and chopsticks. Sitting at the dining table, looking at the delicious food in front of her, Tang Yuxin couldn't help but whet her appetite. She couldn't wait to pick up the chopsticks, picked up a piece of sweet and sour pork ribs and put it in her mouth. It's delicious. Tang Yuxin ate and nodded in praise. The ribs have a crispy skin, the sauce is sweet but not greasy, and the meat is tender and fresh, leaving you with an unforgettable aftertaste. Tang Yuxin ate 3 pieces in a row before stopping, feeling unsatisfied. Seeing Tang Yuxin eating with relish, Xiao Fei felt very satisfied. Don't just eat the ribs, have some fish head soup. Xiao Fei picked up the soup spoon and served Tang Yuxin a large bowl of fish head and tofu soup. Seeing this scene, Aunt Wang opposite was full of envy. Ms. Tang, Mr. Xiao is so kind to you. This fish head soup is best for breastfeeding women. Tang Yuxin glanced at Xiao Fei beside her with tenderness. As the saying goes, if you want to capture a man's heart, you must first capture his stomach. This sentence also applies to women. After eating the food made by Xiao Fei, Tang Yuxin felt that what she had eaten before was simply pig food. At this moment, the 3 babies in the crib suddenly made babbling sounds. Does the little guy smell the fragrance too? How is that possible? Xiao Fei flicked Tang Yuxin's forehead with his finger and said with a smile, the babies are only 2 months old, their eyesight is not well developed, how can they have a sense of smell? Right now, they are probably only interested in milk powder. After a pause, Xiao Fei continued, speaking of which, they should be hungry now. You guys continue eating, and I'll go feed the children. After saying that, Xiao Fei put down his chopsticks and walked towards the living room. I saw Xiao Fei standing in front of the stroller, preparing milk powder skillfully. Tang Yuxin felt as if her heart was filled with something, and a happy smile appeared on her face. After dinner. Finish feeding the babies. It's about time for Aunt Wang to go home. Just as Aunt Wang was picking up her bag and preparing to leave the house, Xiao Fei suddenly called her, then took out a thick envelope and handed it to Aunt Wang. Auntie Wang, this is your salary for last month. Go slowly on your way back. Aunt Wang took the envelope, touched it casually, a happy smile appeared on her face, and she quickly thanked Xiao Fei. Thank you, Mr. Xiao. Then I'll go back first. After expressing her gratitude, Aunt Wang turned and left. Xiao Fei closed the door and returned to the bedroom, just in time to see Tang Yuxin changing Sambao's diaper. You're pooping again. Tang Yuxin changed the diapers for the 3 babies skillfully, and then said to Xiao Fei, I'm going to wash the babies' butts later, can you help? Certainly. Xiao Fei walked over, got in front of Tang Yuxin, and said seriously, don't be so polite when talking to me in the future, understand? Okay. Tang Yuxin lowered her head shyly. Xiao Fei then asked, just wash the babies' butts, don't they need to take a bath? Need not. Tang Yuxin shook her head and explained, the babies are still young, so they don't need to take a bath every day. Twice a week is enough, but their buttocks need to be washed every day. Okay, you teach me how to do it. I'll help you. Soon, Xiao Fei followed Tang Yuxin into the bathroom. Although the weather is still very hot, Tang Yuxin still closed the windows to prevent wind from blowing in just to be on the safe side. The babies are still young. It would be troublesome if they catch a cold by accident. Tang Yuxin said as she started to fill the bathtub with water. It is best to keep the water temperature for bathing babies at around 40. Not too high, not too low. There's a thermometer here. The temperature is about right. You can bring Dabao over first. Xiao Fei got up and ran to the living room and brought Dabao in. With the help of Tang Yuxin, Xiao Fei pulled down Dabao's pants, revealing his smooth and elastic little butt. Come, I'll teach you how to wash their butts. Hold the baby first, then take out a baby towel and wet it with warm water from the tub. And when you scrub, be sure to be gentle. Baby's skin is very delicate and can be easily scratched. While Tang Yuxin was wiping Dabao's butt, she was explaining precautions to Xiao Fei, radiating the glow of motherhood. During the whole process, Dabao was very well behaved and hardly moved. Occasionally, he would wave his little hands and make cute, baby sounds. See this scene. Xiao Fei felt that he was touched by cuteness again. Okay, Dabao is done washing. Put on his pants first, don't let him catch a cold. After receiving the instruction, Xiao Fei quickly put pants on Dabao and then brought Erbao over. As for Erbao, you should wash her. But you have to be careful, Erbao is a little afraid of water and may not cooperate. Okay, I'll give it a try. Xiao Fei rolled up his sleeves, looking eager to try. Tang Yuxin picked up Erbao, gently unbuttoned her pants, and assisted Xiao Fei. Xiao Fei followed Tang Yuxin's steps, first wetting the towel, then wringing out the water, and carefully wiping Erbao's butt. Really? Just as Tang Yuxin said. When the towel touched Erbao's little butt, the little guy began to twist restlessly. Fortunately, Erbao was not very strong, and Tang Yuxin was still able to control him. Seeing Erbao resisting, Xiao Fei immediately said softly, "Good boy, Daddy will wash your butt. After that, you can go to sleep." I don't know if Xiao Fei's words worked, but Erbao really became well behaved. Erbao is really. Tang Yuxin was both angry and amused. Why do I have to slap myself in the face every time? When I was washing her, she was so noisy. How come you are so well behaved now? Who makes me her father? Snort. Tang Yuxin snorted softly. After washing the second baby, they brought the third baby over. According to the previous process, Tang Yuxin held the baby while Xiao Fei washed it. As he was washing, Xiao Fei suddenly thought of something and turned to ask, "You were the only one there before, so it must have been troublesome to give them a bath, right?" "Good." Tang Yuxin smiled bitterly. "Sometimes, Aunt Wan would help me. Washing the butt is fine, but giving the baby a bath is too much for me to handle by myself." "Then I'll help you." Tang Yuxin looked up at Xiao Fei, her eyes full of sweetness. She suddenly felt that the encounter that night might be a gift from God to her. It allowed her to meet Xiao Fei, such a good man. Ding! Congratulations to their host for completing their washing the babies but for the first time mission. Reward, Land Rover Defender 130 Collector's Edition. Extra reward, a 100,000 yuan fuel card. Note, the car has been parked in the underground parking lot of their host's residential area. All relevant documents, driving license, and information have been placed in the car. Please go and check it in time. Hear the sound of the system. Xiao Fei was stunned, then became a little excited. Just by washing your baby's butt, you can drive a luxury car like this? This is so cool. This is a Land Rover Defender worth millions. Thinking of this, Xiao Fei couldn't help but kissed Sanbao on the face. Chapter 8. Does he want to sleep here tonight? After washing the baby's butts, Xiao Fei couldn't help it and wanted to go and check his car. He carried the 3 babies back to the crib, then said to Tang Yuxin, who was cleaning the bathroom, "I have something arriving, let's go downstairs." Good. Although Tang Yuxin was a little confused about what Xiao Fei had delivered. But she thought about it and thought it was probably a courier or something, so she didn't ask any more questions. "Is there anything you want me to buy?" Before leaving, Xiao Fei asked again. "No, go ahead." Tang Yuxin shook her head and said. So Xiao Fei put on his shoes and left home. Just closed the door. He pulled a medicine bottle and a car key from his pocket. What was in the medicine bottle was the marrow cleansing pill that the system had rewarded him with before. Not knowing what would happen after eating it, Xiao Fei decided to wait until night before eating it. With a happy mood, Xiao Fei took the elevator to the underground parking lot of the community, and soon found the Land Rover Defender worth 1 million yuan rewarded by the system. The black body and tough outline make it look very domineering. Under the light, it reflects a dazzling light. Xiao Fei was a little stunned by what he saw. Open the car door, and you will see that the interior decoration is very luxurious and the interior space is very large. This Land Rover Defender 130 is a 2+2+3 7-seater layout. Compared with the 8-seater layout, the second row passengers can have a better riding experience, and the third row passengers can also get in and out more conveniently. After all, now I am a father of 3 children. Add in his future wife Tang Yuxin, and his parents, and 7 people in one car is just right. Xiao Fei sat in the driver's seat and stepped on the accelerator. The engine suddenly roared. Very pleasant to the ear. On the co-pilot seat, there was a file bag containing various documents. Among them, there is one most important thing. That SA gas card worth 100,000 yuan. With this card, I don't have to worry about gas money in the next few years. The system is really considerate. Keep the documents. Xiao Fei took the car keys and returned home. At this time in the house, Tang Yuxin was sitting on the sofa, taking care of 3 babies. When Tang Yuxin saw Xiao Fei coming back, she smiled at first. But soon, she discovered the car keys in Xiao Fei's hand. This is. The car I bought has arrived. Xiao Fei walked over to Tang Yuxin, put the car keys on the table, and explained, I made some money from stock trading before, so I ordered a car from the 4S store. They delivered the car today. R. Tang Yuxin looked at Xiao Fei in shock. You bought a car while you were still in college. What kind of car is this? Tang Yuxin picked up the car keys and took a look at them. She didn't recognize the Land Rover logo. In fact, for girls, apart from BBA, they basically don't know much about other cars. This is the 7-seater version of the Land Rover Defender. About $1 million. Hearing this, Tang Yuxin was even more shocked. 1 million. How much money did you make from stock trading? Tang Yuxin widened her eyes, a look of disbelief on her face. Xiao Fei really enjoyed Tang Yuxin's expression. He reached out and pinched Tang Yuxin's face and said with a smile. Not much, but as your man. It's not a problem to support you and the child. Tang Yuxin's pretty face turned red. She slapped Xiao Fei's hand away and said unhappily. What are you talking about? I'm not talking nonsense. We already have a child. Am I not still your man? Xiao Fei looked at Tang Yuxin and said jokingly. Forehead. Although what Xiao Fei said was true, Tang Yuxin still felt a little embarrassed and lowered her head shyly. Seeing her charming appearance, Xiao Fei's heart was moved. But he also knew that some things could not be rushed. Tang Yuxin has not truly accepted herself yet. So he changed the subject and said, Wife, do you think this house is quite big? What do you want to do? Tang Yuxin suddenly took a step back and got goosebumps all over her body. She stared at Xiao Fei with some fear and shyness. Look. Xiao Fei pointed to the 3 bedrooms in the house and said, I specially rented a larger house with 3 bedrooms, so. So what? Could it be that he wanted to sleep here tonight? Tang Yuxin suddenly became confused. She is not ready to live with Xiao Fei now. No, I can't. Tang Yuxin subconsciously wanted to refuse. But before she could finish her words, she paused again. Although the two had only known each other for less than 2 days, Xiao Fei's performance had completely exceeded Tang Yuxin's expectations and could almost be said to be perfect. Tang Yuxin could also see it. Xiao Fei was sincere to her and the baby. So now, she was a little hesitant. Seeing Tang Yuxin hesitate to speak, Xiao Fei walked over and said softly, Don't think too much. I stayed here to help you take care of the baby. The babies are still young, you have to take care of the 3 of them by yourself. I have to go to class during the day and feed them at night. It's impossible for me to get a good rest. So I want to stay and help you take care of them at night so that you can get a good night's sleep. Having said that, Xiao Fei moved closer to Tang Yuxin and gently stroked her eye bags with his hand. Tang Yuxin's breathing suddenly became rapid. Look at you. You have dark circles under your eyes from staying up late. How can you take good care of the baby without a good rest? I learned that Xiao Fei wanted to stay to help me take care of the baby. Tang Yuxin felt a sweet feeling in her heart. But soon, she felt something was wrong and waved her hand. No, you're still a student, and you have classes in your 3rd year tomorrow. Speaking of this, Tang Yuxin frowned as if she had thought of something. I say, you didn't make a little money from stock trading and you don't even want your diploma anymore, right? I'm warning you, I'm a teacher and I will never allow you to skip class. Seeing Tang Yuxin's serious expression, Xiao Fei smiled and joked, Why, now you remember that you are a teacher. You? Tang Yuxin was extremely embarrassed and angry. She glared at Xiao Fei fiercely and scolded him, I'm not kidding you. Okay. Seeing this, Xiao Fei immediately surrendered and said, I promise you, I will never fall behind in my studies. If I score less than 60 points in one subject in the final exam, I will go back to school immediately and study hard. After hearing this, Tang Yuxin nodded with satisfaction. That's what you said. If you fall behind in your studies because of taking care of the baby, then you should move back to school immediately, study hard, and get your diploma no matter what. From Tang Yuxin's words, Xiao Fei could tell that she still cared about him very much. No problem, wife. I will definitely not let you worry. Xiao Fei replied with a grin. Who is your wife? Don't talk nonsense. Tang Yuxin's pretty face turned red and she turned away in panic. Soon. Xiao Fei muttered something under his breath, then said, No more talking, I'm going back to the dormitory to move my luggage. Then he picked up his car keys and left the house. Chapter 9 Hidden Rich Second Generation. After leaving home, Xiao Fei went directly to the underground garage, drove the Land Rover Defender rewarded by the system, and returned to school. Although the community is very close to the school, But in order to transport things more conveniently, Xiao Fei still chose to drive. However, just as he was about to enter the school, he was stopped by the security guard at the gate. Xiao Fei rolled down the window, took out his student ID and showed it to the security guard. The security guard then let him go, feeling resentful in his heart. I wonder which rich second generation actually drives such a luxury car to come to school for classes. Fuck. Isn't this brother Xiao? Just as Xiao Fei rolled up the car window and prepared to drive in, suddenly, a cry of surprise was heard not far away. Xiao Fei turned around and found that they were his 3 roommates. Hey, good boy. Are you surprised to see your dad? Zhang Bo, who was a bit fat, almost dropped his jaw when he saw Xiao Fei sitting in the Land Rover Defender. Brother Xiao, is this your car? Wu Zitao walked up directly, stroked the tough body of the Land Rover Defender, and said excitedly, if I'm not mistaken, this should be a Land Rover Defender, right? Oh my god, this is a luxury car worth millions. Wu Zitao is the most knowledgeable about cars in the dormitory, and he can handle all kinds of car models with ease. But he just understood it and couldn't afford it at all. The last roommate from Northeast China, Liu Chao, had just walked around the car and was about to say something. The security guard came over and shouted, drive the car away quickly, don't block the door. Okay. Hurry up and get in the car. I'll take you back to the dormitory. Xiao Fei first said something to the security guard, and then waved to the other 3 good guys. The 3 of them jumped into the car without saying a word. As soon as they got into the car, the 3 guys were like Granny Liu entering the Grand View Garden, looking left and right, touching things, and drooling. Xiao Fei drove the car steadily towards the dormitory. Taozi, you just said that brother Xiao's car costs 1 million. I never thought that our brother Xiao is actually a hidden rich second generation. On the way, Zhang Bo, who was sitting in the passenger seat, couldn't help but tease. Wu Zitao and Liu Chao also looked over. Fuck rich second generation. Xiao Fei rolled his eyes at the 3 guys and said speechlessly, if I were a rich second generation, I would have come here in a luxury car when I first entered university. Why would I have to wait until now? So you bought this car yourself? Zhang Bo couldn't help swallowing. Oh shit. I never thought writing online articles could make so much money. Faced with Zhang Bo's doubts, Xiao Fei was too lazy to explain and changed the subject. What were you 3 doing just now? Playing games in the internet cafe. The atmosphere in the dormitory is not fun enough. At this point, Wu Zitao suddenly sighed and continued, we 3 losers can only play on the computer. Unlike you, brother Xiao, you earn money to buy a luxury car. This is my dream car. Looking at this Land Rover Defender, Wu Zitao was full of envy. By the way, let me tell you something. Xiao Fei suddenly said, I rented a house outside the school and I will move out today. You want to move out? Zhang Bo was stunned, then nodded. After all, Xiao Fei is making money now, and it is only natural for him to want to move out and improve his environment. The 3 of them can't stop us, right? Okay. Then when we get back to the dormitory, we'll help you pack your luggage. Zhang Bo looked a little disappointed, and then asked, where is your house? It's not far from the school. After all, I still have to go to school, right? If you are free some other day, I will invite you to come over to my place and play. As for now, that is definitely not possible. Xiao Fei plans to wait until Tang Yuxin completely accepts him before announcing this matter to the public. Otherwise, it is likely to cause trouble to Tang Yuxin. After all, their identities are clear, one is a student and the other is a teacher. Not long after, the Land Rover Defender arrived downstairs of the dormitory. After parking the car, the 4 of them quickly ran back to the dormitory and started packing. Xiao Fei didn't have much stuff, so he could put everything in one suitcase. He could then put the laptop into the bag and he was done. Xiao Fei dragged his suitcase and left the dormitory. Looking at Xiao Fei's departing back, Zhang Bo couldn't help but sigh, suddenly I feel that the game is not so interesting anymore. Yes, we are all juniors, and it's time to think about what will happen after graduation. Actually, I'm preparing for the postgraduate entrance examination. Lao Liu, are you going to take the postgraduate entrance examination? That's right. The least valuable thing now is college. Even though they are students of Shanghai Jiatong University. But in this age of devaluation of academic qualifications, it is not easy to find a decent job. Now Xiao Fei suddenly stood up and even bought a Land Rover Defender. Inspired by him, the three of them also thought about what they would do after graduation and decided to work hard to get out of poverty and become rich as soon as possible. The other side. After putting the luggage in the car, Xiao Fei was not in a hurry to go home. Instead, they went to a maternity and baby supplies store and prepared to buy a few strollers and 3 child safety seats for the children. The Land Rover Defender is large and spacious. But considering the safety of babies, it is still necessary to install a safety seat. After parking the car on the side of the road, Xiao Fei walked straight into the store. "Hello, sir. How can I help you?" As soon as I entered the store, a sweet-looking saleswoman came to greet me. When she saw Xiao Fei, her eyes suddenly lit up. Although Xiao Fei's clothes were a bit ordinary, he was handsome and exuded an elegant air. He is simply a Prince Charming. Even more handsome than those male stars on TV. The salesperson has already started fantasizing in his mind, thinking how wonderful it would be if he could be with him. "Do you have baby strollers for sale?" Xiao Fei said bluntly. "Have. Sir, are you buying this for your child?" Xiao Fei nodded. Seeing this, the girl was immediately disappointed. Why do all the good-looking guys want to get married young, and even have kids? Although I feel a little disappointed. But the girl still enthusiastically took Xiao Fei to the area where the baby strollers were placed. "Sir, these are the latest models in our store, you can choose any of them." Looking at the baby carriage in front of him, Xiao Fei frowned. "There are 3 babies in the family. If I buy 3 strollers, it will be very inconvenient to travel. It's like this, my kids are triplets." "So, do you have those multi-seat strollers here?" "Triplets?" The sales girl looked at Xiao Fei in surprise. Unexpectedly, this young man is not only handsome. Her ability in that area was so strong that she even gave birth to triplets in her lifetime. It's amazing. Soon, she regained her composure and said, "I'm sorry, sir. The most we have in our store are double seats. After all, there are very few twins. We don't have triple seats in stock." "Then let's get a 2-seater and then a single-seater." After a pause, Xiao Fei continued, "By the way, give me 3 more child safety seats that can be placed in the car." The sales girl nodded and smiled sweetly. "Okay, sir, please wait a moment, I'll get the goods for you right away." The sales girl quickly packed up everything Xiao Fei wanted. After paying the bill, Xiao Fei left the maternity and baby store carrying several large boxes. Put the stroller in the trunk and install the safety seat directly on it. Then, Xiao Fei drove back to the Rose Garden community. Chapter 10: Effects of the Marrow Cleansing Pill. Inside the house, I saw Xiao Fei carrying a lot of bags back home. Tang Yuxin hurried forward and took the thing from Xiao Fei's hand. "Hey, you bought a stroller?" Xiao Fei nodded. "The babies are already 2 months old, so it's time to take them out. Get some sun and get close to nature." Tang Yuxin smiled and nodded. "I know, but the sunshade and seat cushion of the stroller need to be cleaned with water. I'll take them in and wash them now." As she spoke, Tang Yuxin removed the sunshades and seat cushions of the 2 strollers and took them to the bathroom to wash. Xiao Fei carried the suitcase and computer and put them in his bedroom. Then he went back to the living room and started to entertain the 3 little angels. "Dabao, I'm your dad, come on and call me Dad Tilder. Erbao, you little cutie, come and give me a kiss Tilder. Sanbao, little lazy pig, is still sleeping in." Just when Xiao Fei was teasing the 3 babies, Tang Yuxin had already cleaned the sunshade and seat cushions and put them on the balcony to dry. When she returned to the living room, she saw Xiao Fei playing with the children, and she felt warm in her heart. I really hope that days like this can continue forever. She hadn't experienced this kind of long-lost warmth for a long time. Let the baby sleep in my room at night. At this moment, Xiao Fei suddenly raised his head, looked at Tang Yuxin and said, "From now on, I will take care of the baby at night. You should have a good rest and stay alert so that you won't feel sleepy during class. You're alone, okay?" Tang Yuxin was still a little worried. After all, Xiao Fei had just started dealing with babies and had no experience. "No problem, don't worry," Xiao Fei said confidently. "Thanks." Seeing Xiao Fei's firm attitude, Tang Yuxin had no choice but to follow his wishes. Hearing this, Xiao Fei frowned, stood up, walked to Tang Yuxin, and hugged her in his arms. Tang Yuxin tensed up instantly, and her soft body suddenly became stiff. What are you going to do?" Xiao Fei lowered his head, looked at Tang Yuxin and said, didn't I tell you that there's no need to say thank you between you and me? These are what I should do. Since I said I would give you and the baby a happy life, I can definitely do it. As he spoke, Xiao Fei kissed Tang Yuxin's red lips. Tang Yuxin trembled all over. An unprecedented throbbing suddenly spread throughout my body. Tang Yuxin couldn't help but moan and tried to push him away. But he was firmly imprisoned by Xiao Fei and could not move. Finally, Xiao Fei kissed her hard several times before slowly letting her go. Tang Yuxin's pretty face flushed red and she glared at Xiao Fei fiercely. Seeing Tang Yuxin's shy look, Xiao Fei felt extremely proud. He didn't expect that his sudden attack would actually be successful. You are so bad. From now on, you are not allowed to kiss me without my consent. Tang Yuxin blushed and said in a low voice. Yes, wife. Xiao Fei agreed with pretended respect. Who is your wife? Tang Yuxin blushed slightly when she heard this. Although Xiao Fei had called her that more than once. But every time she heard it, she felt an indescribable joy in her heart. Xiao Fei smiled and continued to joke, whoever spoke just now is my wife. Tang Yuxin glared at Xiao Fei angrily, wishing she could bite him. But seeing Xiao Fei looked harmless. Tang Yuxin couldn't bring herself to do it, so she could only pinch him, then said, Xiao Fei, can you please not do this at school, because... Of course Xiao Fei knew what Tang Yuxin wanted to say. Before she could finish her words, he said, don't worry, in school you are the teacher and I am the student, that's all. Xiao Fei, thank you. Tang Yuxin was deeply moved when she heard this. But at home, you are my wife. Tang Yuxin spoke in a voice as soft as a mosquito. Then she turned around shyly and ran into the bedroom. Xiao Fei never expected that this time, Tang Yuxin would actually agree. It seems that it is time to advance the relationship between them. Night. Tang Yuxin was a little worried. But they still put the 3 babies on Xiao Fei's bed. Then he explained some precautions to him, looked at the baby reluctantly, and returned to his bedroom. Lying in bed, Tang Yuxin tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. Can Xiao Fei take good care of the baby? Won't they have trouble sleeping without their mother? How about going in and taking a look? But in this way, will Xiao Fei think that I don't trust him? Tang Yuxin stared at the ceiling with wide eyes, and all kinds of thoughts flashed through her mind. Finally, she couldn't bear it anymore and fell into a deep sleep. The other side. Xiao Fei covered the babies with blankets. Then he put the diapers and bottles next to their bed. After all preparations were ready, Xiao Fei took out a medicine bottle from his pocket, which contained the marrow cleansing pill. He glanced at the baby, then took out the pill and swallowed it directly. Take the marrow cleansing pill into the stomach. Suddenly, a warm current flowed into every part of my body. This feeling is simply amazing. Xiao Fei closed his eyes and concentrated, feeling the effects of the marrow cleansing pill. As time went by, a layer of black impurities slowly emerged from Xiao Fei's body. Xiao Fei knew that the marrow cleansing pill was starting to take effect. About 5 minutes later, Xiao Fei seemed to be wrapped in mud. He quickly ran to the bathroom and took a quick shower to wash off the dirt on his body. Standing in front of the mirror, Xiao Fei looked at his body. Height increased by 2 centimeters. His figure became taller and more muscular, and his muscles became much stronger. Moreover, the skin becomes whiter, and even the facial features become more 3-dimensional, and the overall appearance of the person has reached a higher level. He clenched his fists and felt endless power in his body. He picked up a mouthwash cup and, with a little force, crushed the cup. It seems that this marrow cleansing pill is effective. It's much stronger than I thought. Xiao Fei nodded with satisfaction, then put on his pants and walked out of the bathroom with his upper body naked. Yes. He admitted that he was a bit conceited. With such a perfect figure, even if no one appreciates it, it is still extremely pleasing to the eye. Chapter 11. If you want to touch it, you can do it openly. One night. Xiao Fei spends all his time taking care of 3 babies. The next day, around 6 in the morning, Xiao Fei fed the baby for the last time and changed the diaper before leaning against the bed and taking a nap. When he woke up again, it was already past 8 in the morning. The 3 babies are still sleeping soundly. Xiao Fei's energy was also fully restored, and he didn't feel tired at all. Good. It seems that the effect of this marrow cleansing pill is really powerful. Even if you have stayed up all night, you can instantly restore your energy by taking a 2-hour nap. Just as Xiao Fei was sighing inwardly, the voice of the system suddenly came from his mind. Drop. Congratulations to their host for completing their Guarding the Baby at Night mission. Reward, high-quality sleep. High-quality sleep, taking care of a baby is an extremely laborious task. With high-quality sleep, the host's sleep quality will be greatly improved. Just half an hour of sleep can achieve the same sleep effect as a normal person's 8 hours. Hearing the voice of the system, Xiao Fei couldn't help but be shocked. High-quality sleep. This reward is very useful to me now. After taking the marrow cleansing pill, Xiao Fei's physical functions have been greatly improved. Just 2 hours of sleep can restore your physical strength. However, staying up late continuously is probably too much for most people. But now, with this skill, I only need to sleep for half an hour to achieve the same sleep effect as a normal person's 8 hours. Now, I don't have to worry about feeling sleepy when taking care of the baby at night. It's really cool. Just then, Xiao Fei's ears moved. He heard a faint rustling sound coming from the next room. After taking the marrow cleansing pill, Xiao Fei not only became stronger, but his vision and hearing also improved significantly. Even though the room was well soundproofed, he could still detect movement in the next room. Obviously, Tang Yuxin had woken up at this time. Really? Not long after, there was a knock on the door. Xiao Fei said it subconsciously. Come in. The door opened and Tang Yuxin walked in from outside in her pajamas. Her face still looked a little sleepy, obviously she had just woken up. Xiao Fei's eyes swept over and fell on Tang Yuxin's exquisite and delicate body, and he couldn't help but be stunned. Today, Tang Yuxin was wearing a white suspender pajamas. Her 2 long, white legs were exposed to the air without reservation, making her look extremely sexy and seductive. Even wearing loose pajamas, it couldn't hide the magnificence of her chest. Xiao Fei, you. Seeing Xiao Fei, Tang Yuxin was also stunned. Because last night, after taking a shower, Xiao Fei came out of the bathroom naked. At this time, he was only wearing a pair of shorts, revealing the strong muscles of his upper body. Perfect body, full of male hormones. How's it going? Is it okay? Xiao Fei grinned. Tang Yuxin looked a little dazed and nodded subconsciously. But soon, she felt that her words seemed a little too ambiguous. She hurriedly shook her head, and her pretty face suddenly flushed with a charming blush, making her look particularly attractive. Seeing Tang Yuxin like this, Xiao Fei rushed forward, grabbed her waist, laid her down on the bed, and said in a low voice, "What do you think? It's still early, should we?" You, a hooligan. Feel the changes in Xiao Fei's body. Tang Yuxin was filled with shame and anger. She pushed Xiao Fei away and fled back to her room. After closing the door, Tang Yuxin touched her cheek. So hot. My heart was beating wildly. Xiao Fei is such a shameless guy. He wanted to do that kind of thing even though we had only known each other for 2 days. But I haven't seen Xiao Fei for 1 night, how come he suddenly becomes so handsome? He is so handsome that it is stunning. Even those popular young handsome guys are inferior to him. And his figure, is that something a college student can have? It's so bitter. Oh. No, I must be reserved. I can't let him think that I'm a casual woman. Tang Yuxin patted her face, trying to wake herself up. But all that filled his mind was the image of Xiao Fei with his upper body naked. And just now, he pressed me on the bed, that thick feeling. Wow. Just then, crying sounds came from the room, bringing Tang Yuxin back to reality. She quickly opened the door and ran to Xiao Fei's bedroom. At this time, Xiao Fei had already gone to wash up. Only 3 babies were left, lying in the cribs. 2 of the little ones were still sleeping soundly, only Sanbao had his mouth open and was crying loudly. Seeing this, Tang Yuxin hurriedly picked up Sanbao. I checked the diaper first. He didn't poop, so it seems he's hungry. At this time, Xiao Fei, who had just finished washing and putting on his clothes, also returned to the bedroom. Seeing Sanbao crying, he did not continue teasing Tang Yuxin, but picked up the bottle and started making milk powder for the baby. Tang Yuxin held Sanbao in her arms and couldn't help but glance at Xiao Fei. Oh. What kind of magic power does this man have? Why did I fall for him so quickly? Tang Yuxin felt that her girlish heart was gradually being captured by the man in front of her. Soon, Xiao Fei prepared the milk powder. He handed the bottle to Tang Yuxin and said with a smile, "Feed the baby first, I'll make breakfast for you. Tang Yuxin blushed and nodded. Looking at Xiao Fei's departing back, Tang Yuxin's heart beat even faster and she almost dropped the bottle in her hand. Forehead. I am so embarrassed. In the kitchen. Xiao Fei is working hard to make breakfast for Tang Yuxin. Not long after, a rich fragrance wafted out from the kitchen. Tang Yuxin smelled the fragrance and walked to the kitchen door curiously, and saw Xiao Fei busy inside. She said softly, breakfast doesn't have to be so sumptuous. Not just breakfast. Xiao Fei turned around and smiled warmly, you eat in the cafeteria every day, so the nutrition is not enough. This is the lunch I prepared for you. After hearing this, Tang Yuxin suddenly realized. It turned out that Xiao Fei not only cooked breakfast for himself, but also prepared lunch. Tang Yuxin was extremely moved, and a strange feeling surged in her heart. She gritted her teeth, walked forward for the first time, and hugged Xiao Fei tightly from behind. Thanks. Are you still so polite to me? Xiao Fei smiled and scratched the tip of her nose. Gradually, Xiao Fei sensed something strange. Tang Yuxin held her hands and seemed to be touching her abdomen. Wife, if you want to touch it, you can do it openly. Well. Tang Yuxin's pretty face turned red immediately when Xiao Fei saw through her thoughts. She hastily pulled her hand away and fled the kitchen in panic. Xiao Fei smiled helplessly and moved his hands faster. After breakfast, Aunt Wang just arrived at work. Auntie Wang, thank you for your hard work today. You are so polite, Mr. Xiao. This is what I should do. Xiao Fei nodded. Before going out, he handed the lunchbox to Tang Yuxin and saw that Tang Yuxin didn't seem to be wearing any makeup. Xiao Fei felt a little guilty. How can my woman live such a simple life? It seems that I should not only buy things for the baby, but also buy some daily necessities for the mother. 12, Chapter 12 Love Bento. Chapter 12 Love Bento. After Tang Yuxin left, Xiao Fei also came to the school. There is an international finance class this morning. He promised Tang Yuxin that she would not fall behind in her studies, so he would not skip class without reason. Walking in the school, Xiao Fei thought about his future plans. In total, the system rewarded him 1.5 million. He took out 200,000 yuan and gave it to Tang Yuxin as living expenses, and now he has less than 1.3 million yuan in savings left. This money seems like a lot. But it is definitely not enough to raise 3 children. Not to mention, Xiao Fei is now in the Magic City and will have to buy a house in the future. So, he must find a way to make more money. The children are growing up day by day, and we definitely want to be able to move away at will. He remembered a parenting expert saying that frequent moves might have an adverse effect on the baby's growth and development. Babies are very sensitive to their surroundings and they need time to adjust to new environments. A sudden change in environment will not only make your baby feel uneasy, but it may also affect their physical and mental health. The quality of a baby's sleep is closely related to their sense of security. In a familiar environment, your baby will feel safer and sleep better. However, after moving, babies may need time to adapt to the new environment, which may cause their sleep quality to decline and affect their growth. Considering the above points, Xiao Fei must make money as soon as possible and buy a house in Shanghai. The money he has now is definitely not enough. But fortunately, Xiao Fei has a stock market trend chart as a system reward. Using this 1.3 million as capital and taking advantage of the stock market trend chart, it should be very easy to make tens of millions in a shares. I believe it won't be long before he can earn enough money to buy a house. In addition, the babies were born not long ago. You also need to get a birth certificate and register your household registration. It is best to get a birth certificate within 3 months of the child's birth, otherwise it will be a bit troublesome. And the most important thing is to take them for vaccination. Xiao Fei remembered that Tang Yuxin told him that the babies had already received hepatitis B vaccine and BCG vaccine. Next, you need to get the first and second doses of the polio vaccine, as well as the first and second doses of the diphtheria, pertussis and tetanus vaccine. While walking towards the classroom, Xiao Fei was looking up relevant information on his mobile phone. You won't know until you check, and you'll be shocked when you do. There are so many kinds of vaccines that babies need to receive. A total of 18 vaccinations are required. Raising a baby is not easy. Xiao Fei couldn't help but sigh. I'll go. That little brother is so handsome. When did such a handsome boy appear in our school? Isn't he a freshman? He's so handsome, even more handsome than our Gigi. Just as Xiao Fei was walking in the school, he suddenly heard a lot of girls talking around him. He looked up and found that many female classmates around him were secretly glancing at him. Looking at the gazes from the girls around him, Xiao Fei felt a little uncomfortable. He coughed lightly and quickened his pace towards the classroom. But at this moment, a bold girl ran up and blocked his way. Handsome guy Tilder. Can I add you on WeChat? The girl was wearing a tube-top miniskirt and had a very hot body. She lifted the hair beside her ear and spoke to Xiao Fei with an extremely confident expression. In her opinion, with her looks, as long as she took the initiative, she would basically not fail. Unless the other person is not straight. I'm sorry. I'm married and I even have a baby. Xiao Fei shook his head and spoke calmly. Hearing this, the girl collapsed instantly. Even have a baby? Are you kidding me? Looking at Xiao Fei's departing back, the girl clenched her fists and stomped her feet fiercely. 10 minutes later, Xiao Fei walked into the classroom. Because several classes are mixed together for class. So at the beginning, no one noticed Xiao Fei and thought he was a student from another class. But soon, Zhangbo discovered something strange. Fuck. Brother Xiao, did you go for plastic surgery? Zhangbo, who was sitting in the back row of the classroom, looked at Xiao Fei at the door and shouted. The classmates who had not noticed Xiao Fei at first were also attracted by his voice. Is this Xiao Fei? How did you become so handsome? I heard from people in the group yesterday that he seemed to have earned his own money and bought a Land Rover Defender. I'm so envious. The classmates were talking about it, and Xiao Fei frowned when he heard it. He could only pretend nothing happened and walked towards where the 3 dormitory members were. Just at this moment, Professor Mediterranean walked in. The originally noisy classroom suddenly became silent. However, during class, female classmates would occasionally turn their heads and secretly look at Xiao Fei. Brother Xiao. What's going on with you? Wu Zitao asked Xiao Fei curiously. I guess it's because I wasn't woken up by your snoring last night. So you are in extra high spirits today. Xiao Fei spread his hands and made up an excuse. Grass. Is it possible? Wu Zitao complained, then looked envious. TSK. Brother Xiao, you are already so handsome. And you're still angry about your appearance. How can we play with you in the future? That's right. If I walk with you from now on, we will look like supporting characters in a novel. No lady will even look at us straight in the eye. The remaining 2 roommates also started complaining. Xiao Fei could only smile bitterly. Without the system, you are just supporting roles. The other side. Near noon, in the teacher's office. The female teacher Jiang Yu, who was sitting opposite Tang Yuxin, stood up suddenly and shouted, Get off work, Teacher Tang, let's go out together to improve our meals at noon today. Tang Yuxin, who was correcting homework, smiled bitterly when she heard this. No, I brought some food today. Did you bring food? The female teacher Jiang Yu looked surprised. During the school term, Tang Yuxin went to the staff cafeteria to eat every day. Why did you suddenly bring your own lunch today? Did you cook it yourself? No. Tang Yuxin smiled sweetly, it was the child's father who did it. Your husband? Jiang Yu suddenly opened his mouth wide. Wow. Teacher Tang, does your husband still make love bento for you? I really admire you. My damn bastard, he's still sleeping in bed while I'm at work. Comparing yourself to others is really frustrating. As soon as these words were spoken, all the teachers in the office looked over. They all knew that Tang Yuxin had a child, but they had never seen the child, nor had they heard her mention her husband. So everyone thought that she was divorced and had a child. But now, she actually brought a love lunchbox to work. This is really killing the dog. Facing everyone's envious gazes, Tang Yuxin silently took out the lunchbox and opened the lid. The aroma of food instantly filled the entire office. Jiang Yu, who had the best relationship with Tang Yuxin, suddenly jumped over from his chair and looked at the lunchbox in Tang Yuxin's hand eagerly. This smells so good. There's braised chicken, my favorite. Teacher Tang, can I have a taste? Like Tang Yuxin, Jiang Yu is a female teacher who has just joined Zhetung University. In addition, the two were of similar age, so they quickly became good friends who could talk about anything. Tang Yuxin knew that Jiang Yu was a foodie. So he picked up the spoon, scooped a piece of chicken and handed it to Jiangyu. Teacher Jiang. Come, have a taste. Jiangyu didn't hesitate and put the chicken directly into his mouth. The sauce is rich and the chicken is tender. Add to that the vegetable aroma of green peppers and potatoes, it's simply amazing. Jiangyu's eyes widened immediately, and he couldn't help but praise, it tastes great, 10,000 times better than those restaurants out there. She is starting to feel jealous now. Teacher Tang was able to find such a loving husband. Think about myself, I am still a single dog now. Damn it. At this time, Jiangyu looked at another insulated box and couldn't help asking, Teacher Tang, what's in your box? Tang Yuxin smiled and opened another box. The fragrance spread instantly. Inside is a big bowl of my mother's pig's trotter soup, which is rich in collagen. Gulp. Tang Yuxin seemed to be able to hear the sound of Jiangyu secretly swallowing his saliva. Otherwise, you'd better not go out to eat. Shall we eat together? Tang Yuxin suggested. The lunchbox Xiao Fei prepared for her was very filling. There is no problem eating for 2 people. Is it really possible? Although Jiangyu said this, he had already sat down. And so, the two began to eat. There is no harm without comparison. Compared with the usual takeout, the meals Xiao Fei cooks are simply delicacies. As Jiangyu ate, he was about to orgasm. The sound of praise kept coming out of my mouth. Anyone watching? Please give me a recommendation vote tilde. Chapter 13 Entering the Stock Market. At the same time, after finishing the morning classes, Xiao Fei did not rush home, but found a cool place to sit down and opened the stock trading app on his mobile phone. He looked at the time. There was still more than half an hour before the lunch break. He wants to take advantage of this time to study the stock market carefully. I want to earn enough money to buy a house in a short period of time. He must make a fortune in the stock market with the help of the stock market trend chart. Xiao Fei opened the stock trading software, filled in the basic information, and then communicated with the account manager via video. Soon, he successfully opened an account with a brokerage firm. We can finally begin. Xiao Fei took a deep breath and quickly opened the main interface. The stock market trend chart is equivalent to a passive skill, as long as you have this function. The profit curves of all the stocks that Xiao Fei sees in the next 7 days will be presented to him. When various stocks pop up on the mobile phone screen, Xiao Fei discovered that next to these stocks, there was a line of small words that only he could see. Taihao Technology 600590, earnings in the next 7 days. iFlyTech 002230, earnings in the next 7 days. Lion Biotech 002166, earnings in the next 7 days. See the small print. Xiao Fei's mouth corners were almost unable to suppress their excitement. This was too awesome. With these tips, isn't it like an open book exam? If you can still lose money by investing in stocks like this, then you can only say that you are blind. Xiao Fei clicked on one of the stocks. Soon, the line of small words next to it disappeared. What follows is the trend chart of this stock in the next week. This trend chart is even very considerate, marking for Xiao Fei which point is the best to buy at the bottom and which point to sell at for the highest profit in the next 7 days. With such a plugin, it is hard not to make money. However, I'm in urgent need of money now. With the 1 million yuan I have, after paying the down payment on a house, there is basically not much left. In addition, there is a series of issues such as registering the child, obtaining a birth certificate, and daily expenses. So Xiao Fei now has to make quick money. In a short time. The more money you make, the better. Xiao Fei began to scan the stock market, looking for the stock with the most turbulent curve in the next few days. Soon, he found the target stock and bought all 1 million. Buy this stock now. In 2 days, it will reach its peak, but soon, it will fall to the bottom again. What Xiao Fei needs to do is to short this stock before it plummets. Buy 1 million now. By then, I can earn at least several million. Buy the stocks. Xiao Fei put his cell phone in his pocket and walked towards the school gate whistling. When he returned home, he heard a baby crying in the house. He quickly changed into slippers and walked into the bedroom. I saw Antoine holding one of the babies and coaxing her. Who's crying? Xiao Fei came over. Antoine was surprised when she saw Xiao Fei coming back. Mr. Xiao, you got off work so early. Xiao Fei nodded. He didn't explain that he was still a student. Instead, he reached out his hand and took the child from Aunt Wang's arms. I was thinking about the child, so I came back early to see him. Mr. Xiao, you are such a good father. Aunt Wang praised generously. Xiao Fei smiled, said nothing, and looked down at the child. I found out that the one crying was indeed my second baby. Among the 3 babies, the second one cries the most. Compared to her, Dabao and Sanbao are stronger. Especially Dabao, maybe it's because he is a boy, but in all the days they have been together, Xiao Fei has never seen him cry. As for the second baby, he cries almost every day. I just finished feeding the baby. I checked the diaper and found no poop. I just don't know why Erbao is crying. Aunt Wang explained in a low voice. Xiao Fei nodded and gently coaxed the second baby in his arms. When Erbao saw his father coming, he stopped crying immediately, then stared at Xiao Fei with big eyes, looking aggrieved. It seemed like she was complaining to him, "Why did you come back just now? Be good, don't cry." Xiao Fei touched Erbao's chubby little face. At this time, Dabao and Sanbao saw Xiao Fei coming back, and they stretched out their chubby little hands and waved at him. Xiao Fei put Erbao back on the bed, and then hugged Dabao and Erbao. After leaving a kiss on their faces, Xiao Fei walked into the kitchen and started preparing lunch. Soon, a fragrance came from the kitchen. Aunt Wang, who was looking after the child, couldn't help swallowing. "Auntie Wang, come and eat together." "Mr. Xiao, this is so embarrassing." Aunt Wang said this, but her body walked over honestly. Originally, she was planning to just make some noodles to get by, but unfortunately, Xiao Fei's cooking skills were just too amazing. Anyone who has tasted his cooking will be unable to resist the temptation. Finish lunch. Xiao Fei played with the 3 babies for a while. Then he went back to his room, took out his computer, and began to study the stock market situation. An afternoon passed quickly. At 5 o'clock in the evening, Tang Yuxin returned home on time. "Babies tilde. Mom is back." As soon as she entered the door, Tang Yuxin shouted into the house. I didn't notice at all that Xiao Fei was sitting on the sofa in the living room, holding the baby and smiling at me. On the side, Aunt Wang was holding another baby. On the sofa in the middle, the strong Dabao was playing alone. Seeing this heartwarming scene, a long-lost smile appeared on Tang Yuxin's face. "Yuxin, you're back." Tilde. When she saw Xiao Fei, Tang Yuxin's pretty face turned a little hot. She quickly changed into slippers, walked into their house, and picked up Dabao, the only one who was not held by anyone. Dabao is so pitiful. Everyone is being hugged except Dabao. "Come and let mommy hug you tilde." Dabao, who was held in Tang Yuxin's arms, clutched the clothes on her chest tightly with his little hands and made babbling sounds. I don't know if it was because it was hungry, but its round head was rubbing against Tang Yuxin's chest desperately. This action made Tang Yuxin blush. After all, Xiao Fei is still here. "You kid. Are you hungry?" Having said that, Tang Yuxin put Dabao down and went to prepare milk powder for him. Xiao Fei looked at the time and it was almost time for dinner, so he got up and went into the kitchen. Soon, the sound of ping-pong was heard in the kitchen. Tang Yuxin, who was feeding her baby, saw Xiao Fei busy in the kitchen. Subconsciously thinking of what happened this afternoon, the corners of my mouth couldn't help but rise, revealing a sweet smile. "Miss Tang, what happy things do you think of?" Just for lunch." Tang Yuxin briefly told Aunt Wang what happened at noon. He imitated Jiang Yu's exaggerated expression when eating so vividly that Aunt Wang burst into laughter. "Mr. Xiao's craftsmanship is indeed good. At noon today, I couldn't help myself and ate a few more bowls of rice." "Ms. Tang, your husband is so outstanding." "Husband? I guess so." Tang Yuxin glanced at Xiao Fei in the kitchen, wondering what he was thinking. Chapter 14 Reward, a large flat. After dinner, Aunt Wang greeted the two of them and then left. Inside the house, Tang Yuxin was washing dishes in the kitchen. Xiao Fei took the opportunity to come in and said to her, "Wife, why don't you let me wash it?" When Tang Yuxin heard the word wife, her body froze and the dishes and chopsticks in her hands almost fell to the ground. No need." Tang Yuxin replied in a panic. "Yeah, very good." He actually didn't reject the title of wife. "It seems that we can go a step further." Xiao Fei came closer and gently hugged Tang Yuxin's waist from behind. "Wife tilde." Xiao Fei's low voice sounded in Tang Yuxin's ears. Tang Yuxin's body trembled, and she felt like her heart was about to jump out of her throat. What is this guy trying to do? Xiao Fei whispered, when we are free some other day, let's go get the baby's birth certificate together, okay? Tang Yuxin nodded obediently. I didn't expect that he was holding me just to talk about this. However, I really have to hurry up and get the baby's birth certificate. Now the baby only has a temporary medical certificate and has not yet applied for a formal birth certificate. Originally, Tang Yuxin was still worried about this matter. Even if you are alone, you can still apply for a birth certificate. But Tang Yuxin doesn't want the father's column on the child's birth certificate to be empty. Originally, she had given up hope and was prepared to raise her 3 babies by herself. Result: Xiao Fei's appearance gave her a glimmer of hope. Seeing that Tang Yuxin agreed, Xiao Fei continued, in addition to the birth certificate, there is also the matter of the baby's household registration. When Tang Yuxin heard Xiao Fei talking about registering the household registration, her brows immediately frowned. I plan to tell my parents about our situation in 2 days. What about you? Tang Yuxin looked a little worried. The relationship between her and Xiao Fei is really bizarre. Can Xiao Fei's parents accept him? Moreover, Tang Yuxin had already had a falling out with her parents. Don't worry, my parents are easy to talk to. They have long wanted me to get married and give birth to grandchildren for them to take care of. But, are your father-in-law and mother-in-law easy to talk to? Upon hearing this, Tang Yuxin lowered her head. She didn't know how to tell Xiao Fei. Seeing this, Xiao Fei could guess something. Tang Yuxin must have had a falling out with her parents because of something. Otherwise, how could she rent a house and live alone after just giving birth to a child? A year ago, my parents had a falling out with me when they found out I was unexpectedly pregnant. I ran away from home and gave birth to 3 babies. As Tang Yuxin spoke, tears began to flow down her cheeks. Xiao Fei felt very distressed when he saw this. He opened his arms, hugged Tang Yuxin tightly from behind, and then wiped Tang Yuxin's tears with his hands. I'm sorry I made you suffer. But don't worry, I'm here. No matter how unhappy my parents-in-law are with me, I will solve it. Tang Yuxin shook her head and said, no, it's not your fault. You didn't know about it at the time. Speaking of this, Xiao Fei felt a little strange. Normally, if a woman has sex with a strange man and gets pregnant unexpectedly, shouldn't she abort the child immediately? Why did Tang Yuxin want to give birth to their child? Perhaps sensing Xiao Fei's doubts, Tang Yuxin slowly said. When I found out I was pregnant, I went to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor told me that my cervix is relatively small and it is not easy to get pregnant. If I abort the baby, I may never get pregnant again. That's why After listening to Tang Yuxin's explanation, Xiao Fei suddenly realized. He turned his head, gently kissed Tang Yuxin's red lips, and said softly, wife, thank you for your hard work. After saying that, Xiao Fei became a little proud again. But speaking of it, I am also quite capable. My dear, it is not easy for you to get pregnant, but I can still let you give birth to 3 children at once. You bastard! Tang Yuxin was both embarrassed and annoyed, and pinched Xiao Fei hard. I'm feeling sad. After being interrupted by Xiao Fei, Tang Yuxin could no longer feel sad. They both quickly washed the dishes. Then they returned to the living room and gathered around the 3 babies. Honey, it's still early, why don't we drive the baby to a nearby park? Let them get in touch with nature and bask in the sun. Xiao Fei glanced out the window. The sun had not yet completely set. The afterglow of the setting sun shines over the city, emitting colorful light. It looks magnificent, like a paradise on earth. In response to Xiao Fei's proposal, Tang Yuxin nodded in agreement. The babies are already 2 months old, so it's totally okay to take them out and get some fresh air. So the 2 of them packed up and pushed the stroller downstairs. This is that new car you bought. When she came downstairs and saw the brand new Land Rover Defender in front of her, Tang Yuxin was surprised. Although she knew that Xiao Fei bought a luxury car worth 1 million. But seeing it with my own eyes, I still felt a little shocked. Xiao Fei put the 3 babies in safety seats, then folded the stroller and put it in the trunk. Then he turned around, hugged Tang Yuxin, and said with a smile, this car is not only mine, but also yours. Tang Yuxin blushed slightly when she heard this. Looking at the gentle look in Xiao Fei's eyes, Tang Yuxin felt so happy. At this moment, someone came over from a distance. Tang Yuxin subconsciously pushed Xiao Fei away and said hurriedly, "Let's get in the car quickly." Xiao Fei smiled and didn't say much. After the two got in the car, Xiao Fei started the car and slowly stepped on the accelerator. Because there were 3 babies in the car, Xiao Fei drove very carefully. When he drove the car onto the street, he unlocked the safety lock and turned on the car stereo, playing soothing classical music. The babies sat in the back row, looking around curiously. Everything outside is so new to them. Tang Yuxin, who was sitting in the passenger seat, turned around to look at the baby and found that there was nothing unusual about them. He seems to like riding in the car very much. Then he turned around and looked at Xiao Fei, who was concentrating on driving. He's getting more and more handsome. After spending a few days together, Tang Yuxin finally let go of her grudges. Now she really likes Xiao Fei. If he hadn't appeared, I have to take the subway 3 times a day to go to work. Living alone with 3 children in a dirty and messy rental house. Because of Xiao Fei's arrival, the living environment of herself and her baby has also undergone earth-shaking changes. Tang Yuxin felt very lucky. I am so lucky to have such an outstanding man. Thanks. What? Xiao Fei turned his head and asked in confusion. No, nothing. Tang Yuxin waved her hands hurriedly. Xiao Fei drove seriously and didn't think too much about what Tang Yuxin wanted to say just now. At this moment, the system's voice suddenly sounded. Drop. Congratulations to their host for completing their first outing with wife and children mission. Reward, a 280 large flat in Jinyu Huafu. All relevant documents and keys have been placed in the vehicle storage box. The house is fully furnished and the environment is good. You can move in at any time. Extra bonus, 2 parking spaces, plus 5 years of property fees. Chapter 15. How are you going to thank me tonight? Golden Domain, Washington. A 280 square meter apartment. 2 parking spaces for free, plus 5 years of property management fees. Oh my. System, aren't you too generous? You know, Jinyu Huafu is a famous real estate project in Shanghai, with a price of 80,000 yuan per square meter. This large flat, converted into cash, is a full 20 million. System. I really love you. Xiao Fei. What are you grinning about? Seeing Xiao Fei holding the steering wheel and grinning foolishly, Tang Yuxin couldn't help but ask curiously. No, nothing. Just at this moment, the red light at the intersection turned green. Xiao Fei turned the car around and drove directly towards another road. Oh, we went the wrong way. Shouldn't we go straight through the park? Tang Yuxin reminded hurriedly. Yes, this is the road. Xiao Fei smiled and said mysteriously, I bought you a gift, now I will take you to see it. Gift? What gift? Tang Yuxin asked curiously. Xiao Fei didn't say anything, just smiled mysteriously at her. Judging from the look on his face, he obviously wanted to give himself a surprise. What on earth is that? Why are you being so secretive? Tang Yuxin muttered something quietly and didn't ask any further questions. You'll know when you get there. Xiao Fei smiled and continued driving forward. Golden Domain is located on the bank of the Huangpu River, a place where every inch of land is valuable. It is one of the most upscale residential areas in Shanghai. The distance between Shanghai Jiaotong University and the Huangpu River is about 10 kilometers. It takes more than 20 minutes by subway. It's rush hour now. The road is very congested. Xiao Fei drove for about half an hour before he and his family arrived at the gate of Jinyu Huafu. Since the vehicle was not registered, the security guard naturally would not let Xiao Fei in. Wife, there's a document bag in your storage box over there. Give it to me. Oh. Tang Yuxin opened the storage box and saw a cowhide bag inside. She took out the cowhide bag and handed it to Xiao Fei. Xiao Fei took the bag, tore it open and took a look. It contains the property certificate, purchase contract, keys, access cards, etc., everything is in there. Xiao Fei took out the door card and handed it to the security guard to look at. When the security guard saw the door card, he immediately saluted Xiao Fei respectfully. Welcome home, sir. Immediately afterwards, the community railings slowly rose. Xiao Fei drove a Land Rover Defender, carrying Tang Yuxin and 3 others, into the residential area. Xiao Fei. Hearing what the security guard just said, Tang Yuxin was stunned. She looked at Xiao Fei beside her in disbelief, and asked with trembling lips, just now, the security guard said, "Welcome home, what does that mean?" "That's what you mean." Xiao Fei handed over the cowhide bag in his hand. Tang Yuxin took the bag and saw a property certificate inside. When she opened it, she found the words Xiao Fei written on the property certificate. Moreover, the floor area of this house is more than 280 square meters. Seeing this, she was so shocked that she was speechless. "You know, this is a community on the bank of the Huangpu River. The minimum price per square meter is 80,000. Xiao Fei, how much did you spend on this house?" Tang Yuxin swallowed, her eyes wide open, and looked at Xiao Fei. "This house?" Xiao Fei smiled. He wanted to say that he didn't spend a penny, but Tang Yuxin would definitely not believe it. So he smiled and said, "Not much, just over 20 million. "More than 20 million, is that not a lot?" Even though she had already guessed that this house was worth a lot of money, when Tang Yuxin heard Xiao Fei say this number in person, she was still shocked. After all, this is more than 20 million. As a university teacher, he is considered to be in the upper middle class in society. But even so, her monthly salary is less than 20,000 yuan. Calculated based on more than 200,000 yuan a year. Even if she didn't eat or drink, it would take her 100 years to buy this house. Thinking of this, Tang Yuxin looked at Xiao Fei with eyes filled with curiosity. "Xiao Fei, tell me honestly, what does your family do?" Hearing this question, Xiao Fei was stunned for a moment. He thought about it and felt that there was no need to hide anything. After all, she is about to meet her parents, so it would be good for Tang Yuxin to know about her family situation in advance. "My family is pretty ordinary. My father is an employee of a state-owned enterprise, and my mother is a housewife. I bought this house with my own efforts. It has nothing to do with my parents." "Did you buy it through your own efforts?" Tang Yuxin looked at Xiao Fei with eyes full of admiration. But soon, she thought of something and frowned. "A house worth more than 20 million. How much is the mortgage?" Xiao Fei must be under a lot of pressure alone, right? "Xiao Fei, why don't we return the house? The mortgage payments for a place like this must be scary, and we have 3 babies to raise." Seeing Tang Yuxin's worried look, Xiao Fei smiled helplessly and said, "I bought this house in full, without a mortgage." "What? A house worth more than 20 million? You bought it in full?" Tang Yuxin looked at Xiao Fei as if she was looking at a god. However, the property certificate was right in front of her, and Xiao Fei's name was written on it, so she had no choice but to believe it. "Xiao Fei, please don't do anything stupid. It's okay for me and the baby to have a hard time, but..." After the car arrived at the underground garage, Tang Yuxin was still a little nervous. She didn't want Xiao Fei to take out a huge loan for her. Xiao Fei parked the car, turned around, and held Tang Yuxin's hand tightly. "Honey, don't worry, I didn't do anything stupid. At first, I made hundreds of thousands of dollars by writing novels. Then I took the money and invested it in the stock market, slowly accumulating a sum of initial capital." At this point, Xiao Fei paused, then jokingly said, "I finally saved 20 million, and after buying this house, my pocket is empty. So, wife, you have to support me from now on." Seeing Xiao Fei's funny look, Tang Yuxin couldn't help but sneer. "Okay, just stay here and feel at ease. I'll add your name in after we meet the parents." Hearing this, Tang Yuxin was deeply moved. She doesn't care whether her name is on the property certificate. But Xiao Fei took the initiative to bring it up, which meant that he had himself in mind. "Thank you, Xiao Fei. Thank you for being so nice to me." Xiao Fei smirked, then leaned close to Tang Yuxin's ear and whispered, "Wife, how are you going to thank me tonight?" Hearing Xiao Fei's words, Tang Yuxin's face suddenly turned red. Hateful, so frivolous. Tang Yuxin gave Xiao Fei a coquettish look. Then she opened the car door and walked out first with her long beautiful legs. Seeing Tang Yuxin's graceful back, Xiao Fei showed a sly smile on his face. "I thought to myself, tonight, I must find a way to take her down." Chapter 16. My mom called. Soon, 2 people were pushing a baby stroller. Arrived at the door of room 808 of Jinyu Huafu. Normally, there are 2 households per elevator on each floor. The large flat is quite special in that there is 1 household per elevator. Very quiet. No need to worry about being disturbed by neighbors next door. Standing at the door, Xiao Fei stretched out his thumb and pressed the fingerprint unlock button. The next second, the door opened. Xiao Fei didn't rush in, but walked up to Tang Yuxin and took her hand. Come. I'll help you record your fingerprints. The system has already recorded Xiao Fei's fingerprint. But Tang Yuxin didn't. Tang Yuxin smiled and let Xiao Fei hold her hand and enter her fingerprint into the access control system. After recording fingerprints, Xiao Fei turned sideways, made way, and then made a gesture of invitation to Tang Yuxin. Wife, please come in. Look at our cozy little home in the future. Tang Yuxin pursed her lips, with a smile on her face, and said sweetly. Okay, hubby. Tang Yuxin's call of husband made Xiao Fei very happy. With excitement, Tang Yuxin pushed the stroller and walked in first. Wow. As soon as she entered the door, Tang Yuxin exclaimed. This house is decorated extremely luxuriously. It's comparable to a 5-star hotel. The whole house is in beige tones, with beige and yellow walls, the furniture is European style, and the walls are covered with various paintings. There are many masterpieces by famous artists among them. The huge living room is equipped with a curved screen TV that is over 100 inches in size. Thick carpet, spotless. Through the balcony, you can also see the night view of the Huangpu River, which is beautiful and spectacular. It's really beautiful. Tang Yuxin felt like she was in a dream and couldn't believe that all this was real. Xiao Fei smiled and said, How is it, do you like it? Like? Tang Yuxin nodded repeatedly. This was a scene she had never dared to imagine before. I didn't expect it to come true now. The system was also very considerate. Knowing that Xiao Fei had 3 babies, it directly gave him a 4-bedroom house. With curiosity, Tang Yuxin walked into the master bedroom. Wow! There's even a bathtub. Tang Yuxin couldn't help but exclaimed when she saw that there was a huge round bathtub in the master bedroom bathroom. Xiao Fei, this is too amazing. What did you say? Hearing this, Xiao Fei's face immediately frowned. Well. Tang Yuxin blinked, looking a little embarrassed. You just called me husband. Xiao Fei moved forward and pressed Tang Yuxin directly onto the bathtub. Now, you're calling me by my name again. Feel Xiao Fei's hot breath. Tang Yuxin's pretty face flushed and her delicate body began to tremble. This man is so bad. He always finds the opportunity to bully me. Old husband. Tang Yuxin said shyly. Be good. Xiao Fei raised the corner of his mouth and leaned down to kiss Tang Yuxin's lips. Tang Yuxin let out a moan. At first, she wanted to resist. But slowly, she climbed onto Xiao Fei's shoulders with her hands and began to respond to him. After a passionate love affair, Tang Yuxin's clothes were a little messy. Xiao Fei leaned his arms on the edge of the bathtub, wanting to have a deeper communication with Tang Yuxin. But, at this moment, the baby in the living room suddenly cried out. Tang Yuxin regained consciousness instantly, pushed away Xiao Fei who was pressing on her, and ran out. What's the matter, little darling? Are you hungry? In the living room, Dabao was lying in the stroller, twisting his body constantly. Maybe it's pulled. Xiao Fei followed him into the living room and spoke softly. Then he squatted down, picked up Dabao and examined him carefully. Sure enough, it was poop. After changing Dabao's diaper, Xiao Fei and Tang Yuxin stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking the sunset over the magic city. How beautiful! Looking at the lights on the Huangpu River, like stars, shining brightly. Tang Yuxin subconsciously took Xiao Fei's arm and slowly leaned towards him. Although Tang Yuxin and Xiao Fei had already had a relationship and even had a child. But between them, it was like first love. There is an indescribable throbbing feeling. Wife. Let's move in tomorrow. From now on, I'll drive you to school in the morning. I also have classes. Good. Tang Yuxin nodded sweetly. Soon, she thought of something else and suddenly said, What about the children? We're moving tomorrow, and Aunt Wang is moving to a new place again. This place is quite far from Aunt Wang's house. Tang Yuxin frowned, a little worried. She didn't mind moving here with Xiao Fei. But, Aunt Wang can't come all the way here every day just to take care of the baby, right? Fine. Xiao Fei touched Tang Yuxin's hair and said with a smile, The babies are still young now, and there are so many rooms at home, so it's completely possible for Aunt Wang to move in, right? In the future, I can let the baby sleep with Aunt Wang at night. We won't be bothered. Hearing this, Tang Yuxin didn't know what she was thinking about and her pretty face turned slightly red. Oh well. Tang Yuxin responded. Just then, her cell phone suddenly rang. She took it out and looked at it, and her face changed immediately. Xiao Fei took a curious glance and found that the caller ID was actually Mom. Xiao, husband, what should I do? My mom called. Tang Yuxin said in a panic. She may not realize that now that she has encountered problems, she has become accustomed to relying on Xiao Fei. Xiao Fei held her trembling hand and said with a firm look, "It's okay, take it, I'll take care of everything." Tang Yuxin nodded. Then she turned on the speakerphone and pressed the answer button. Chapter 17, How old is the child's father? Hey, Mom. After the call was connected, Tang Yuxin said a little nervously. Yuxin, where are you now? On the other end of the line came Tang's mother's anxious voice. I'm in the Magic City. I know. I'm asking where you live now. I've already arrived at the Magic City airport. Hearing this, Tang Yuxin's eyes widened suddenly. Mom came to Shanghai. Xiao Fei was also a little surprised. He didn't expect that his mother-in-law would come to the Magic City without making any noise. Tang Yuxin began to panic. Seeing this, Xiao Fei took her hand and mouthed to her, "Tell my mother-in-law to come over here." Tang Yuxin hesitated for a moment, then took a deep breath and said to the other end of the phone. Mom, I'm in the HP area, Golden Domain Mansion. Okay, I'll call a car right away. It takes about an hour to get from the airport to the Huangpu River. If you encounter a traffic jam, it will take even longer. Therefore, Xiao Fei gave up the plan of taking Tang Yuxin with him to pick up his mother-in-law. After all, there are 3 babies to take care of. How have you been lately? At this moment, Tang's mother on the other end of the phone asked again. I'm doing fine. Upon hearing this, Tang Yuxin replied without thinking. Well. Mother Tang paused, then asked, what about the child? How is the child? The kids are good too. They are 2 months old. They are triplets. Tang Yuxin replied. 3 triplets. When Tang's mother heard this, she was completely stunned. You kid, why didn't you say so earlier? Your dad was angry at the time and scolded you a few times, but why didn't you tell Mom about such a big thing as giving birth to triplets? There was a strong sense of self-blame in Tang's mother's tone. Tang Yuxin wanted to explain, but suddenly choked up. She wiped the tears from her face, and tried to force a smile, saying, Mom, don't worry, I'm doing well now, the child's father is very good to us, and we are very happy now. Having said that, Tang Yuxin looked at Xiao Fei shyly. Did you find the child's father? Didn't you say you didn't know who the child's father was? Tang's mother said with some surprise. Mom, this matter cannot be explained in a short time. Wait until you come over, I'll tell you, the child's father is here too. Tang Yuxin said to the person on the other end of the phone. Good. I'll be right there. After saying that, Tang's mother hung up the phone. An hour later. 2 people are in the living room, watching TV and playing with their baby. Suddenly, Tang Yuxin's phone rang again on the table. Yuxin. I've already arrived at this golden domain. Do you really live here? This place doesn't look cheap. On the other end of the phone, Tang's mother's tone was obviously a little surprised. Yes, it is here. I'll go down and pick you up now. After hanging up the phone, Tang Yuxin quickly kissed Xiao Fei, then put on her shoes and ran downstairs. Along the way, we got closer and closer to the entrance of the community. Tang Yuxin's mood became more and more nervous and anxious. She recalled that a year ago, her parents found out that she was pregnant unexpectedly and forced her to have an abortion, and even slapped her. She still can't forget what happened that night. Finally, I hurried and hurried. Tang Yuxin came to the gate of the community and saw the familiar figure. Mom! Tang Yuxin shouted. Not far away, a dignified woman turned around and saw Tang Yuxin. Yuxin. Because of Tang Yuxin's appearance. Tang Yuxin's mother was also let in by the security guards. She walked quickly to Tang Yuxin and looked at her carefully. She looked ruddy and energetic, and she didn't look abused at all. A relieved smile finally appeared on Tang's mother's face. Mom. Looking at Tang's mother in front of him, Tang Yuxin couldn't help but pounce on him. He hugged his mother tightly and burst into tears in her arms. Be good, don't cry. Tang's mother gently patted her daughter's shoulder and comforted her. It's my fault. I shouldn't have said such harsh words to you, and I shouldn't have ignored you after you ran away from home. Mom is sorry for you. Hearing this, Tang Yuxin cried even harder. Mom, you are right. It's me, I'm wrong, woo-woo. Tang Yuxin said while sobbing. It took her a long time to calm down. Then, shyly, she took Tang's mother's hand and walked towards home. On their way back, Mother Tang couldn't help but ask. Yuxin, what is going on with you guys now? What's going on between you and the kid's father? Tang Yuxin hesitated for a moment, then slowly said, didn't I tell you before that I jumped off the building to commit suicide because of Lulu, and then ran to the bar to get drunk? Then, I accidentally had sex with a man. Tang Yuxin paused, then explained, you and Dad both know about this matter. Then, I had a falling out with you guys. I went to the Magic City by myself and gave birth to 3 babies. In order to support my baby, I found a teaching assistant job at Shanghai Jietong University. As a result, I unexpectedly met Xiao Fei, the child's father. Having said this, Tang Yuxin even glanced at Tang's mother. When he found that she didn't seem to reject him, he continued, Mom, I know you are all angry with Xiao Fei. But Xiao Fei didn't leave me on purpose. He didn't know that after that night, I got unexpectedly pregnant. And that day, he was as drunk as I was. Since I got together with him, he has taken good care of me and my baby. For me and my child, he even took out all his savings and bought a house here for more than 20 million. Along the way, Tang Yuxin told her mother a lot about Xiao Fei. When Tang's mother heard that Xiao Fei actually took out 20 million to buy a house here, the shock in her eyes became even greater. She began to become hesitant. Yuxin. How old is the child's father? To be able to come up with so much money to buy a house here, you must be old, right? She didn't want her daughter to marry an old man. Xiao Fei. Very young, a few years younger than me. Speaking of this, Tang Yuxin felt a little embarrassed. It's more than just a few years younger. He is still her student. Hearing Tang Yuxin's words, Tang's mother frowned even more tightly. Younger than you? Where did he get so much money? What does his family do? Tang's mother continued to ask. After all, Tang's mother had heard too many bad things about rich families. My daughter won't suffer any loss if she follows him, right? Tang Yuxin didn't notice her mother's abnormality, and introduced happily, Xiao Fei's family is quite ordinary, just like us, they are from Sichuan and Chongqing. His father is an employee of a state-owned enterprise, and his mother is a housewife. He earned all the money to buy the house himself. He spent all his savings to buy this house. At the end of the conversation, Tang Yuxin felt a little guilty. If it weren't for myself, Xiao Fei would not spend so much money to buy a house here. But then I thought, now that I have my own house, I don't have to move all the time. This is also a good thing for the growth of babies. Thinking of this, Tang Yuxin's frown began to relax. After listening to her daughter's introduction, Tang's mother finally felt relieved. This Xiao Fei. It looks pretty good. Be responsible. I also have the ability. However, Tang's mother planned to investigate the details after they met. If you find something wrong, Tang's mother would never agree to her daughter being with him. Chapter 18 Teachers and Students. Not long after, Tang Yuxin took her mother back home. Xiao Fei. We're back. In front of her mother, Tang Yuxin was embarrassed to call him husband. In the living room, Xiao Fei, who was playing with 3 babies, heard Tang Yuxin's voice. He immediately stood up, straightened his clothes, then walked to the door and opened it. Yuxin, you're back. At the door, Tang Yuxin was holding the hand of a middle-aged woman. The middle-aged woman was about 50 years old and was wearing a loose sweater and casual trousers. With fair skin and dignified features, she looks like a noble lady. This should be your aunt, right? Hello, auntie. My name is Xiao Fei. I'm Yuxin's boyfriend, and also, the father of the children. Xiao Fei walked up to him with a confident smile on his face and greeted him politely. Looking at Xiao Fei in front of her, a hint of surprise flashed in Tang's mother's eyes. What a handsome guy. And, she looks so young. Before meeting Xiao Fei, Tang's mother had wondered what kind of person he would be. But I never expected that Xiao Fei would be so handsome. Even compared with those male stars, she is not much inferior. But It's useless for a man to be good looking. Mother Tang raised her head and looked at Xiao Fei with a scrutinizing gaze. I found that he was strong, masculine, and very organized in his dealings with others. Perfect first impression. Mother Tang nodded slowly and said, "Hello Xiao Fei, I am Yuxin's mother, my name is Chen Yue." "Hello, auntie, let's go in and talk." "No need to change shoes. Yuxin and I just came to see this house today. I plan to move here tomorrow. I haven't had time to clean yet." A newly bought house. Hearing this, Tang's mother became even more curious. She followed Tang Yuxin and Xiao Fei into their house. Looking at the bright living room, luxurious decoration, and the gorgeous river view outside, Mother Tang felt that her eyes were about to be dazzled. But soon, she then turned her attention to the three dolls not far away. I saw three little kids sitting on the sofa, having a lot of fun. Oh. Hummo. Ba. Looking at Tang's mother approaching, the three babies seemed a little scared. Xiao Fei and Tang Yuxin hurried over. Seeing their dad and mom, the three kids waved their hands hurriedly. "Are these three my grandchildren? So cute." Seeing these three babies, Tang's mother's heart was almost melted. "Yeah, mom." Tang Yuxin sat on the sofa and began to introduce them one by one. The oldest one is Dabao, a boy. The one in the middle is the second child, and the one next to it is the third child. They are both girls. Tang Yuxin picked up Dabao, and seeing that he showed no resistance, she gently placed him in her mother's arms. Mother Tang carefully took Dabao and a kind smile appeared on her face. "Dabao. I'm your grandma, call me grandma." Dabao opened his black eyes and looked at Tang's mother curiously. Then he opened his mouth slightly and started to chuckle. "Hey." Dabao smiled, "So good Tilda." Hearing Dabao's laughter, the smile on Tang's mother's face became even more intense. After playing with the first child for a while, Tang's mother tried to hold the second and third children. "Neither of them is as close to me as Dabao." Before she could even pick them up, they started to cry loudly. Tang's mother had no choice but to give up and asked, "What are the children's names?" "It has T been named yet?" Xiao Fei stood up and said, "Auntie, do you have any good ideas?" Tang's mother thought for a few seconds, then shook her head and said, "You can decide what to name the child." "By the way, Xiao Fei, where do you work?" Hear this question. Tang Yuxin suddenly became nervous. Xiao Fei held her hand and gave her a comforting look. "What's wrong?" Seeing the two people's strange behavior, Tang's mother had a bad feeling. "Xiao Fei wouldn't. Are you doing some shady job?" "If you think about it, you are right. No family to rely on, just yourself." At such a young age, he was able to save 20 million yuan, and he took out all the money to buy a large flat in HP district. If it doesn't have something to do with criminal law, it would probably be difficult to achieve. Seeing the expression on Tang's mother's face, Xiao Fei hurriedly explained, "Auntie, I don't have a job yet. I'm a student at Shanghai Jiatong University." Tang's mother opened her eyes wide, her face full of disbelief. "Are you still a student?" "Yes, I'm a junior at Shanghai Jiatong University. Yuxin is a teacher in our school. That's why we met at the school gate." Teacher and student. Hearing this, Tang's mother was extremely shocked. But she soon regained her composure. Now it's different from the past, everyone is an adult and has reached the legal age for marriage. Even if it is between teachers and students, it is not something immoral. Although she felt a little uncomfortable, Tang's mother reluctantly accepted the fact that Xiao Fei was still a student. Soon, a question arose in her heart. "Xiao Fei, since you are still a student, how do you make money?" Xiao Fei had expected that Tang's mother would ask this question, and he followed what he had said to Tang Yuxin before, saying, "When I was in college, I started writing novels online and made hundreds of thousands of dollars. Then I took the money and invested it in the stock market, slowly accumulating a sum of initial capital. Then it snowballed, and I made more money from money. Before long, I had earned more than 20 million yuan. After I met Yuxin and learned that we had a child, I used the money to buy a car and a house. Now I don't have much money left." Xiao Fei spread his hands and continued. "But don't worry, Auntie. Since I can make 20 million, I can definitely make more money. I will never treat Yuxin and the three babies badly in terms of quality of life in the future." After hearing this, Tang's mother was stunned. She knew that it seemed easy to make money in the stock market during this period. But a young man in his early 20s who was still in college actually made more than 20 million yuan in just a few years with a capital of only tens of thousands of yuan. Isn't this a bit too horrifying? Xiao Fei, you are amazing. Although Tang's mother was somewhat skeptical of what Xiao Fei said. But with such a big house in front of her, she couldn't help but believe it. But Xiao Fei, stock trading is risky. After you graduate, it's better for you to find a stable job, like taking the civil service exam or something. Before she knew it, Tang's mother had already taken on the attitude of a mother-in-law and started educating Xiao Fei. Hearing this, Xiao Fei nodded repeatedly, indicating that he would not do anything rash. As for the civil service exam, Xiao Fei had never thought about it at all. Now that he has the system by his side, and with the help of the stock market trend chart, if he doesn't enter the stock market and reap a fortune, wouldn't he be betraying the system's trust? By the way, Auntie Yusin and I rented a house near the school before, and we were planning to move here tomorrow. But today, since you are here, why don't we move in tonight? There is no spare room over there for you to rest, Auntie Xiao Fei suddenly suggested. Okay. Mother Tang nodded without objection. Chapter 19. He is a responsible man. Immediately, Xiao Fei drove and took Tang Yuxin back to the Rose Garden community. Tang's mother stayed in Jinyu Huafu to take care of the 3 babies. Without having to take care of the children, Xiao Fei and Tang Yuxin moved very quickly. Since I just moved yesterday, I haven't had time to take out a lot of luggage, so it's very convenient to pack up. It took less than half an hour to pack all the luggage. When the two returned home, Tang Yuxin couldn't help but sigh. I didn't expect that in just 2 days, I moved twice. Moved twice? Tang's mother, who came out to help carry the luggage, asked curiously. Xiao Fei hurriedly explained, Auntie, it's like this. Before I met Yusin, she rented a small house of 30 square meters in the suburbs. After I knew about this, I immediately rented a 3-bedroom apartment near the school for her. Later, I felt that renting an apartment was not convenient enough, so I bought one. Upon hearing this, Tang's mother showed a relieved smile on her face. Well, you're thoughtful. Xiao Fei said with a smile, it's nothing, this is what I should do. By the way, Auntie, you haven't had dinner yet, right? I'll go cook for you. When he came to see the house just now, Xiao Fei opened the refrigerator at home and took a look. I found that it was filled with all kinds of fresh ingredients. It seems that the system is still very considerate. Xiao Fei, can you cook? Tang's mother asked in surprise. Before Xiao Fei could speak, Tang Yuxin said, Mom, you don't know, Xiao Fei's cooking is delicious. It tastes better than what the hotel chefs outside make. When Tang Yuxin heard that Xiao Fei was going to cook, her eyes lit up. Tang's mother also showed an expectant expression. Then, Xiao Fei went into the kitchen and started to get busy. Tang Yuxin and her mother sat in the living room, looking towards the kitchen from time to time. With 2 audiences, Xiao Fei's cooking skills became more fancy. The hand holding the kitchen knife seemed to be dancing, spinning and jumping on the chopping board. The movements were graceful and flexible, which was pleasing to the eye. The two were dazzled and exclaimed in amazement. In less than half an hour, 5 delicious meals were served on the table. In order to please Tang's mother, Xiao Fei used all his life's knowledge to prepare these 4 dishes and 1 soup. The rich fragrance instantly filled the whole house, arousing all the gluttony in Tang's mother's stomach. After Tang's mother tasted these dishes, Xiao Fei, your craftsmanship is amazing. If you open a restaurant after graduation, you will definitely become rich. Tang's mother couldn't help but praise. Thank you for the compliment, Auntie. Xiao Fei said with a smile, compared with those real chefs, I'm still a little bit behind. Old. Xiao Fei, you are too modest. Just then, Tang Yuxin interrupted while stuffing food into her mouth. His cheeks are puffy from eating so much, and he looks so cute. Xiao Fei didn't expect that his wife had such a cute side. After dinner, Tang's mother took Tang Yuxin into the bedroom. She left the door ajar, then held Tang Yuxin's hand and said distressedly, Yuxin, thank you for your hard work during this period. Mom, it's okay. Tang Yuxin held her mother's hand and comforted her. I have finally come to the end of all the hardships. I am very happy and blessed to be with Xiao Fei. Well, as long as you are happy. Tang's mother took out a bank card from her pocket and put it into Tang Yuxin's hand. Here is 200,000 yuan. Your father gave it to me before he left. The password is your birthday. Don't blame your dad, he just cares about his reputation. In fact, he has forgiven you a long time ago, and he misses you very much. He regrets slapping you in the face. Tang Yuxin took the bank card and her eyes suddenly turned red. How could she miss her father too? Yuxin, don't worry. When I get back, I'll do some ideological work on this old guy. Wait until he puts aside his pride, then you can go back. By the way, do you really think that Xiao Fei is trustworthy? Tang Yuxin nodded and said firmly, well, Xiao Fei is very good to me. He is a responsible man. Upon hearing this, Tang's mother didn't know what to say. I could only nod and say, okay, then you should pay more attention next time. Although judging from his performance just now, Xiao Fei is a very good person. But men tend to get bored with the old and love the new. After being together for a long time, their true nature will be exposed. If you encounter anything unpleasant in the future, remember to tell me. I'll be there to support you. Tang Yuxin curled her lips and said, I know Mom, I believe Xiao Fei. Mother Tang sighed. These few days, Mom will stay to take care of the baby for you, and also observe Xiao Fei. I'll go back when Mom is relieved. Tang Yuxin nodded vigorously. After all, they hadn't seen each other for so long, and she was reluctant to let her mother go back so soon. At the same time, she also believed that Xiao Fei would definitely be able to pass her mother's test. In the living room, while Tang Yuxin were having a heart-to-heart talk in the bedroom, Xiao Fei took out his cell phone and called Aunt Wang. Tell her about your move. I learned that Xiao Fei bought a house in Jinyu Huafu and wanted me to move there to take care of the baby. Aunt Wang hesitated at first, but soon agreed. After all, being a confinement nanny was her job, and the salary Xiao Fei offered was much higher than the market price. Even taking care of the baby at home is a very normal thing. After talking to Aunt Wang on the phone, Xiao Fei returned to the sofa and played with the three babies for a while. Then take out your laptop, open the QQ Reading official website, and log into your writer background. He serialized a novel on it, which was about the love affair between a university tutor and his student. This novel is nearing its end and will be finished soon. Xiao Fei plans to stop writing after finishing this novel. After all, now that he has the system, he no longer has to rely on writing online articles to support his wife and children. It only took less than half an hour. Xiao Fei wrote 2 chapters and posted them. Then I opened Bilibili and prepared to see if there were any new episodes recently. What are you looking at? Just at this moment, Tang Yuxin and Tang's mother came out of the bedroom. Seeing Xiao Fei watching anime, Tang Yuxin came over curiously and said jokingly, huh? You're already an adult, and you still watch anime. Xiao Fei shrugged and said helplessly. Who says anime is only for kids? There are many anime for adults. Tang Yuxin smiled and said nothing more. Although she doesn't like watching anime, but she is extremely passionate about Korean dramas. Seeing Xiao Fei following the anime, Tang Yuxin also felt a little itchy. Ever since she had 3 money-eating beasts, she hasn't watched any TV series seriously for a long time. There happened to be a 100-inch curved screen TV in the living room. Tang Yuxin simply picked up the remote control, pulled her mother to sit on the sofa, and started watching the latest Korean drama. Xiao Fei was watching the show on the side and teasing the 3 children from time to time. A big family, happy and harmonious. Chapter 20. Brother Xiao is in love? The next day, 8 o'clock in the morning, Aunt Wang takes the subway to work. Xiao Fei took her on a thorough tour of the house. Looking at the nearly 300 square meter house in front of her, Aunt Wang's eyes were full of envy. Mr. Xiao, you are so amazing. At such a young age, he can actually buy such a big house in the HP area. Hearing the praise, Xiao Fei smiled and said, Auntie Wang, you are too kind. I did this all for Yuxin and the baby. By the way, if it's inconvenient for you to go back in the future, you can stay in this room. Okay. Aunt Wang nodded. At this time, the door of the next bedroom opened and Tang's mother walked out. Xiao Fei quickly introduced the two to each other and then went to cook. After quickly preparing breakfast, Xiao Fei made lunch for Tang Yuxin and thoughtfully put it in a lunch box. At this time, Tang Yuxin also walked out of her bedroom in her pajamas. She stretched herself, obviously having slept well last night. After 2 days of rest, Xiao Fei found different ways to make delicious food for her. Tang Yuxin's complexion is getting better and better, her face is rosy and her appearance is even better. Finish breakfast. Xiao Fei helped Tang Yuxin pack her things and said goodbye to Tang's mother. Auntie Wang, Auntie. I'll leave the baby in your hands. I'll go take Yuxin to work. After saying goodbye to the two, Xiao Fei took Tang Yuxin to the underground parking lot. On their way, Tang Yuxin kept holding Xiao Fei's arm. The fullness of her breasts rubbed against Xiao Fei's arm from time to time, which made him have wild thoughts. Why, are you in a good mood today? He. Of course. Tang Yuxin smiled playfully. Tang Yuxin's mood has never been worse since she learned that her father has forgiven her. Looking at the pretty lady in front of him, Xiao Fei suddenly remembered something and said, I only have one class this Friday, and I have no classes in the afternoon. What about you? I happen to have no classes that day, what's wrong? Tang Yuxin looked up at Xiao Fei and asked with some confusion. In that case, then let's go get the baby's birth certificate. Okay. Tang Yuxin nodded. At this moment, Xiao Fei stopped, lowered his head, looked at Tang Yuxin affectionately and said, after we get the baby's birth certificate, we'll find a time to visit my parents. How about taking the household registration booklet and getting a marriage certificate? Hearing this, Tang Yuxin's body suddenly stiffened. She widened her eyes, looked at Xiao Fei with surprise and said, Are you serious? Certainly. Xiao Fei smiled and nodded. If it wasn't for registering the baby, I would have thought about getting the marriage certificate with you after the wedding. But now, for the sake of the baby, we can only get the marriage certificate first and then get married. After all, it is more important to register the baby. Although Tang Yuxin was very happy in her heart. But she said, who said she wanted to marry you? There wasn't even a proposal ceremony. Xiao Fei smiled and said nothing. Proposal ceremony? How could such an important thing not exist? Seeing that Xiao Fei didn't continue talking, Tang Yuxin felt a little disappointed. But she soon calmed down. It's just a ceremony. Xiao Fei has already given enough for this family and can't ask for anything else. Seeing the lunchbox in Xiao Fei's hand, Tang Yuxin laughed again. I am very happy now. There's no need to force it. Unconsciously, the two arrived at the gate of Shanghai Jietong University. As the car was about to drive into the school, Tang Yuxin said hesitantly, husband. Can you put me down here? Why? Xiao Fei asked in confusion. I'm worried about being seen. After saying that, Tang Yuxin seemed to be afraid that Xiao Fei would misunderstand her, and then added, You are still a student. If people knew that you were with me, it might have a bad influence on you. I don't care. But Tang Yuxin wanted to say something else. Xiao Fei took the lead and said, You are the wife I will marry and the mother of my child. What do I have to be afraid of? Let others say whatever they want. I don't care anyway. After a pause, Xiao Fei continued, On the contrary, you are a school teacher. If others knew that we were together, it would have a greater impact on you. So, I agree with you. Having said that, Xiao Fei stepped on the brakes and stopped the car on the side of the road. However, Tang Yuxin did not get off the car. She hesitated for a moment, then looked at Xiao Fei and said seriously, Husband, since you are not afraid, then what should I be afraid of? Just drive in. If you get caught, just admit it. Anyway, this is not the old society anymore. Upon hearing this, Xiao Fei laughed and said, Okay, I'll listen to you. Then he stepped on the accelerator and drove directly into the school parking lot. Although Tang Yuxin said so. But before getting off the bus, she still looked around. After making sure that there was no one in the parking lot, she pushed open the car door and quickly slipped out. Soon, Friday arrived. Xiao Fei only has one class in the morning. After class, Xiao Fei was the first one to rush out of the classroom as soon as the teacher left. Looking at Xiao Fei, who was in a hurry, Zhang Bo frowned. Brother Xiao has been acting a little weird lately. Although he has rented a house outside, there is no need for him to run away at a certain time every day, right? Wu Zitao touched his chin and spoke with a detective look. I think Brother Xiao is in love. Are you in love? Hearing this, Liu Chao immediately became interested and interrupted. Now that you mention it, it's really possible. Otherwise, why would he be so anxious to finish class every day? You can't just go home and play games, right? Playing games alone is not as fun as playing with a group of us. Just at this moment, squad leader Liu Yu passed by. Hearing the three people's discussion, she immediately came over and asked out of curiosity. What did you say? Xiao Fei has a girlfriend. Xiao Fei was originally very handsome, and he also took the marrow cleansing pill. He now, be it figure or appearance, they have reached the pinnacle level. Many girls are coveting his body. These days, his reputation has spread to the neighboring colleges. During the open class, many girls who were not from the school came to attend the class just to catch a glimpse of Xiao Fei's brilliance. Some were even bold enough to confess their love to him in public. However, he was ruthlessly rejected by Xiao Fei. Yes. Hearing Liu Yu's words, Zhang Bo hurriedly said, Brother Xiao has moved out to live alone now. I guess he probably has a girlfriend. You said he was living with someone else. Liu Yu said in disbelief. Although it is not uncommon for college students to live together. But Xiao Fei is the dream lover of all the girls in the school. Not to mention the finance department. Following the principle of keeping their wealth within the family, there are countless girls coveting this handsome guy Xiao Fei. Class monitor Liu Yu is one of them. Unfortunately, Liu Yu knew her own strength. Although she has a good figure, she is not very good looking. However, she is a warm-hearted person and often helps her classmates solve their problems. Especially the male classmates, they like to look for her as the class monitor whenever they have something to do. Many people secretly have a crush on her. However, what they don't know is that the person they have a crush on has already been secretly in love with someone else. This guy. It was taken down so quickly. Hearing Zhang Bo's words, Liu Yu curled her lips in dissatisfaction. I feel sad. Chapter 21 Xiao Xinghe, Xiao Qianshui, Xiao Qingmeng. Just as the roommates were discussing, Xiao Fei had left the classroom and came to the school parking lot. After getting into the car, Xiao Fei did not rush to start the car, but opened the stock trading app on his mobile phone. Follow the prompts of the stock market trend chart. The stock he bought will reach its highest point at noon today. Xiao Fei calculated the time precisely and threw them all out. Bought for 1 million and sold for 6.2 million at the highest point. In just 2 days, the net profit was more than 5 million. This feeling is so cool. Of course, this little money is nothing. Xiao Fei has too little capital now. If he had enough funds, making tens of millions would be easy. After selling the stocks, Xiao Fei heard the system's voice in his mind. Drop. Congratulations to their host for completing the task of earning money from milk powder for the baby. Reward, 5 million in cash. Host, please make good use of this money to earn more money from milk powder for your baby, so that your wife and children can live a better life. Ha! Hearing the system's voice, Xiao Fei couldn't help but burst into laughter. Just made 5 million. Now the system rewards me another 5 million? Tongzi, you are so awesome. Looking at the string of numbers in his bank card, Xiao Fei felt extremely relieved. In just a few days, he went from a poor student. He suddenly became a multi-millionaire. He lives in a big house, drives a luxury car, and has tens of millions of dollars in the bank. Even in the Magic City, where rich people are everywhere, Xiao Fei can be considered to have some assets. Looking at the screen of his mobile phone, Xiao Fei counted carefully. He now has a total of more than 10.5 million yuan in his bank card. Xiao Fei thought about it and decided to take out 10 million and invest it in the stock market, leaving 500,000 for reserve. I made so much money. It's time to buy something for my wife. Xiao Fei always remembered how Tang Yuxin went out with a bare face. And in the closet in her room, there are always the same few pieces of clothes hanging, which she wears over and over again. Although Tang Yuxin is naturally beautiful, even without much dressing up, it is difficult to conceal her noble and cold temperament. But as his wife, how could he live in such poverty? Xiao Fei must let her wear the most beautiful clothes, put on the most beautiful makeup, and be the most dazzling woman. While driving home, Xiao Fei was thinking about what to buy for Tang Yuxin. However, the most urgent thing is to get a birth certificate for the baby. Not long after, Xiao Fei returned home. Tang Yuxin had no classes today, so she didn't go to school. When he opened the door, Xiao Fei saw Tang Yuxin sitting on the sofa, watching TV with Tang's mother. Yuxin, let's go. Let's go get a birth certificate for the baby before they get off work. Xiao Fei said to Tang Yuxin. Upon hearing this, Tang Yuxin immediately stood up from the sofa. Seeing this, Tang's mother put down the remote control and followed Tang Yuxin out of the house. Come to the underground parking lot. Xiao Fei sat in the driver's seat, Tang Yuxin sat in the passenger seat, and in the middle sat Tang's mother and Aunt Wan, who followed them. In the last row of safety seats are 3 little kids. Just like that, the whole family drove towards the suburbs of the Magic City in a mighty procession. At the beginning, Tang Yuxin gave birth to her 3 babies in the maternal and child health care hospital there. Xiao Fei looked at the map navigation and drove carefully. Xiao Fei, your car is not cheap, how much does it cost? On the way, Tang's mother couldn't help but ask. It's okay, less than $1 million. Xiao Fei drove the car seriously and said without turning his head. Hearing this, Tang's mother showed a look of surprise. For an average family, it is already very good to have a car worth around 200,000 yuan. But Xiao Fei is still young, and not only has he bought a big house in Shanghai, but he also drives a million-class car. Tang's mother is becoming more and more satisfied with this future son-in-law. By the way, Yuxin. While waiting for the traffic light, Xiao Fei suddenly said, my junior year courses are basically coming to an end. It doesn't matter whether I go to class or not. Look, how about I just take a leave of absence and stay at home to take care of the baby full time? No. Tang Yuxin refused without even thinking about it. Tang's mother also objected, Xiao Fei, you are still studying, so your studies are more important. We will take care of the child, you don't have to worry. Hear the conversation between the 3 people. Only then did Aunt Wang realize that Xiao Fei was still a student. She looked up in surprise, wanted to say something, but finally shut up. After all, this is someone else's business. As an outsider, she couldn't say much. All right. I'll think about it. Faced with the opposition from Tang Yuxin and the others, Xiao Fei did not insist. This kind of thing cannot be convinced by just a few words. 20 minutes later. The car arrived at the maternal and child health hospital. After parking the car, Xiao Fei got out first and took out the baby stroller from the trunk. Then he took the 3 babies in one by one. Xiao Fei was pushing a 2-seat stroller with his second and third babies in it. Tang Yuxin pushed a bow, and the whole family walked neatly towards the maternal and child health hospital. Soon, everyone arrived at the hospital front desk. Hello. We're here to get a birth certificate. Xiao Fei said with a smile. The hospital staff couldn't help but take a few more glances at the whole family when they saw how good-looking they were. I thought they were celebrities in the entertainment industry. Okay. Excuse me, do you have your ID with you? Xiao Fei nodded, took out his and Tang Yuxin's ID cards and handed them to the hospital staff. After checking and confirming their identities, the staff member came out from the front desk and looked at the baby in the stroller. Wow. Your baby is so cute. Seeing the 3 babies in the stroller, the nurse at the front desk felt her heart melt. Wait, these are triplets. I remember 2 months ago, a pair of triplets were born in our hospital. It was in our hospital at the time, and it caused quite a stir. That couple, could it be you? Faced with the nurse's question, Tang Yuxin smiled bitterly and nodded. Her words reminded Tang Yuxin of the difficult days when she gave birth alone in the hospital. Feel the change in Tang Yuxin's mood. Xiao Fei came over and put his arm around her shoulders. In the stroller, 3 babies pursed their lips. He looked around warily, seeming a little scared. After all, there are too many people here. After confirming the baby's identity, the front desk nurse immediately returned to work. Start operating the computer to apply for a formal birth certificate for the baby. By the way, what are their names? The eldest treasure is Xiao Xinghe, the second treasure is Xiao Qianshui, and the third treasure is Xiao Qingmeng. Xiao Fei and Tang Yuxin looked at each other and spoke slowly. What's the meaning? These 3 names are taken from a 7-character quatrain by Tang Gong, a poet in the late Yuan dynasty. After getting drunk, I don't know, the sky is in the water, and the boat is full of clear dreams that press down the stars. This was the name he and Tang Yuxin had discussed together at home before. After hearing this, the nurse at the front desk couldn't help but give a thumbs up and exclaimed, I didn't expect that parents are cultured people. Here, she has processed birth certificates for many newborns and has seen all kinds of names. For someone with the surname Wu, it doesn't matter if he calls his own child that. A man named Zhu named his child Happy Weekend. There is even more bizarre, that is, a man with the surname Du named his child Jurex. However, it is still very rare for someone like Xiao Fei to name his 3 babies after a line of poetry. Chapter 22 Complete Life Achievements. With the seal stamped, the birth certificates for the 3 babies were finally processed. Drop. Congratulations to their host for completing life's achievements, applying for a birth certificate for the baby, and registering the name. Get a critical hit reward, 1% of JP Morgan Chase shares, worth $6.3 billion. The relevant equity certificates have been placed in the vehicle storage box. See this reward. Xiao Fei was stunned for a moment, then became a little unbelievable. 1% of JP Morgan Chase. You know, JP Morgan Chase is one of the most influential financial groups in the United States. Founded by JP Morgan, it has gradually expanded into various economic fields through banking businesses such as investment and credit. Along with the Rothschild family and the Rockefeller Group, it is known as one of the 3 major financial groups in the United States. System. The last second, I was still thinking about how to support my family. And the next second, you gave me such a big gift package. Is the reward for achieving success in life so amazing? If I could register my baby, send them to school, and raise them to adulthood. System, don't you have to send all the world's industries here? But the babies are still small now. Some life achievements can only be completed when they grow up. Xiao Fei also didn't want to make the babies too tired. As long as they could grow up healthy and happy, that was enough. Xiao Fei, what's wrong with you? Seeing Xiao Fei standing there in a daze, Tang Yuxin couldn't help but ask. No. I'm fine. Xiao Fei said with a smile. Then, he took 3 birth certificates from the nurse and led everyone back to the car. The car quickly left the hospital and headed towards Jinyu Huafu. On the way, Xiao Fei glanced at the storage box on the co-pilot's side. The share certificate was obtained. But the dividends have not been paid yet, and Xiao Fei still doesn't have much money. Unless this 1% stake is sold. Then Xiao Fei would immediately be financially free and live the life of a wealthy man. But he is not a fool. These are shares of JP Morgan Chase. Given his Chinese identity, it is easy to imagine how difficult it would be for him to obtain 1% of the shares of the top American consortium. What's more, JP Morgan Chase has penetrated almost every industry in the world. As long as you can see the industry, you can basically see its presence. In other words, Xiao Fei owned 1% of JP Morgan Chase. That would be equivalent to indirectly controlling many industries around the world. These 3 little guys. It really is my lucky star. Xiao Fei looked back at the 3 babies and couldn't help but say. 20 minutes later, Xiao Fei drove back to Jinyu Huafu. After lunch, Xiao Fei suddenly said to Tang Yuxin, Yuxin, let's take the baby and go shopping in the mall. Going to the mall? Tang Yuxin was a little surprised. What are you going there for? Xiao Fei came over and put his arms around Tang Yuxin's waist. What else can I do? Look at you, you always wear these clothes. You don't have many cosmetics. Let's go to the mall later and I'll buy you some daily necessities. Tang Yuxin felt a little shy when she heard that, and started to move awkwardly. No, it's too expensive. Let me go first, Mom and Aunt Wang are still here. Aunt Wang, who was cleaning up the dishes in the dining room, said she saw nothing, while Tang's mother sat on the sofa, pretending to watch TV seriously. Don't be afraid of wasting money. Your husband still has money to buy clothes now. My wife is so pretty and has such a great figure. It would be a shame if I didn't dress her up. Upon hearing this, Tang's mother also echoed, Yuxin, it's rare that Xiao Fei is so kind, so go out with him. Auntie Wang and I can take care of the child. But Xiao Fei, don't spend too much money. You will have to spend a lot of money when you raise children in the future. Yes, Auntie. Xiao Fei nodded and agreed, but we can also take the baby out for a walk. They are now over 2 months old. It will be good for their growth if they are exposed to the outside world more. Auntie, why don't you come out with us? I won't go. Tang's mother shook her head. She doesn't want to go out and be a light bulb. After hearing what her mother said, Tang Yuxin didn't know what to say. So the 2 of them took their children, drove out of the community, and came to the largest shopping mall in Shanghai. After parking the car, Xiao Fei took out the stroller and put the 3 babies in it. After the previous experiences of going out, the babies are not as scared as they were at the beginning. Along the way, The combination of handsome men and beautiful women quickly became the focus of everyone. Passers-by all paid attention to it. Tang Yuxin is already stunningly beautiful, and she also has a hot body. Even without makeup, it is difficult to conceal her amazing charm. As for Xiao Fei, there is no need to say more. After taking the marrow cleansing pill, he can be said to be a walking hormone. No matter whether they are old or young, as long as they are women, they can't help but secretly glance at him. If you don't know him, you might think he's some male celebrity. Facing everyone's hot gazes, Xiao Fei was no longer surprised. He pushed the cart carefully and took Tang Yuxin into a Chanel store. As soon as I entered, then a beautiful woman in a silk stocking uniform came up to us. "Good afternoon, distinguished guest. Wow, these 3 babies are so cute, are they triplets?" Tang Yuxin smiled and nodded. When the beautiful saleswoman saw the baby in the stroller, her heart melted instantly because of how cute it was. When she looked up and saw Xiao Fei's handsome face, a hint of surprise flashed in the beautiful saleswoman's eyes. "My husband is so handsome. The 3 babies are so cute. How much good deeds did this young lady do in her previous life? Help her pick out some suitable clothes," Xiao Fei said to the female salesperson. "Yes, sir." Hearing this, the smile on the saleswoman's face became even more obvious. Tang Yuxin was still a little hesitant. She knew that Chanel was a luxury brand and buying a few pieces of clothing would cost tens of thousands of dollars. Xiao Fei just bought a house, where does he get so much money? However, Xiao Fei waved his hand, indicating that she shouldn't worry about it. Seeing this, Tang Yuxin had no choice but to bite the bullet and follow the female shopping guide to start choosing. While they are choosing, Xiao Fei found a place to sit down and take care of the 3 babies. The babies lay in the strollers, looking around with their eyes rolling. He didn't cry or make a fuss and was very well behaved. Even the second child, who loved to cry the most, was just rubbing his fingers and babbling something to Xiao Fei. At this time, a passerby saw this scene. "I couldn't help but come closer. Are these triplets? How cute. All 3 babies are so cute. Hello, can I hug them? They are so cute." When Erbao saw a stranger approaching, he pouted his mouth and looked like he was about to cry. Xiao Fei hurriedly picked up Erbao and coaxed her, "Be good, baby, these aunties are all good people, don't be afraid." "Wow, Erbao buried his head in Xiao Fei's arms. Xiao Fei raised his head, looked at the beautiful women in front of him and said, "I'm sorry, I'm a little timid." "It's okay, it's us who were abrupt. But these 3 babies are so cute. It makes me want to have a second child." As several beautiful women spoke, they immediately glanced at their husbands. The men shrank their necks. Tonight, it is bound to be another tough battle. There will be another chapter later. Please give me a recommendation vote tilde. Chapter 23. Bye. Not long after, Tang Yuxin changed her clothes. She returned to Xiao Fei somewhat shyly. "Honey, does it look good?" Xiao Fei raised his head and his eyes suddenly lit up. At this time, Tang Yuxin changed her usual simple clothes and put on this beige suspender dress. Although there is no high waist design, but it still brings out her exquisite figure to the fullest. Especially that pair of long and white beautiful legs, which makes people want to reach out and touch them. Xiao Fei couldn't help swallowing his saliva, and praised generously, "Beautiful, my wife, no matter what you wear, you are so charming." As he spoke, Xiao Fei stood up, walked to Tang Yuxin, and gently stroked her cheek with his hand. Seeing this scene, the women around them suddenly felt jealous. "Do you want to show off your love in public like this?" Tang Yuxin's face suddenly turned red. Because I'm too shy." Tang Yuxin could no longer organize her words. Xiao Fei smiled, pulled his hand back, and then said to the salesperson beside him, "I want this skirt. Please pick a few more for my wife." "Yes, sir." "Miss, your husband is so good to you?" After receiving praise from the salesperson, Tang Yuxin felt a little dizzy and was dragged to try on clothes again. That's all. On the recommendation of sales. In less than half an hour, Tang Yuxin changed more than a dozen sets of clothes. Without exception. As long as the clothes are worn by Tang Yuxin, Xiao Fei will say something directly. "This is a nice one, wrap it up. Go choose again. Continue." The other customers in the store looked on in astonishment. "You know, this is a Chanel store. A piece of clothing costs at least several thousand or even tens of thousands. How did it get to you? It's like buying vegetables in the market. That's too rich. By the end of the try, the beautiful saleswoman's legs felt a little numb. When she carried various clothes, shoes, and bags of different sizes to the checkout counter, Xiao Fei directly took out his bank card and handed it over. Swipe the card. Also, can you send someone to deliver these things to my house? The beautiful saleswoman smiled and nodded. No problem, sir. Don't even mention sending these things to your home. Even if you pack yourself up and send yourself over, that's no problem. As long as she can complete today's order, she can get tens of thousands of dollars in commission alone. Sir, your total spending today is 238,000 yuan. I'll give you 230,000 after rounding off the decimal point. The beautiful saleswoman picked up the bank card and swiped it on the POS machine. Hearing this number, Tang Yuxin found it a little unbelievable and was about to reach out to stop it. But, the next second, the POS machine then spits out a white invoice. It shows that the payment was successful. The beautiful saleswoman picked up the bank card and invoice and handed them to Xiao Fei respectfully. Xiao Fei put the bank card and invoice into his pocket without even looking at them, then left the Chanel store with Tang Yuxin. Husband. After leaving the store, Tang Yuxin suddenly spoke. How do you still have so much money? She remembered that Xiao Fei had told her this before. After buying the house, he had little money left. Now, why are you spending so much money to buy things for yourself? Xiao Fei put his arm around her waist, leaned close to her ear, and whispered, I said before that I didn't have much money left, compared to the 20 million in savings. But it's no problem to take out hundreds of thousands to buy you clothes. Besides, I won't live off my savings. You have to believe in your husband's ability to make money. Tang Yuxin nodded, and then said with some concern, Husband, you are so outstanding. I suddenly feel that I am not worthy of you. Xiao Fei had this feeling after he bought the house. Tang Yuxin began to feel something. My husband has to make money and take care of the baby at the same time, which is really too hard. Who said you don't deserve it? Xiao Fei frowned, tapped Tang Yuxin's forehead, and said jokingly, You are so beautiful, of course you deserve it, and you are a good match for me. If you don't believe it, you can ask the baby. Hearing what Xiao Fei said, the three babies cooperated and started babbling. Look, the babies all said they deserve it. Puff. Seeing the three babies and Xiao Fei singing the same tune, Tang Yuxin couldn't hold it in any longer and burst out laughing. Her smile made Xiao Fei stunned. His gaze moved all the way down along Tang Yuxin's charming face. Finally it fell on her plump breasts. Husband. What are you doing? You're still outside. Tang Yuxin patted Xiao Fei shyly. Wife, don't let your mind wander. Xiao Fei raised the corners of his mouth and said with a smile, I looked at you and wondered if you were still short of some jewelry. Come on, let's continue shopping. Before Tang Yu could react, Xiao Fei took her and walked into a jewelry store. Half an hour later, Xiao Fei walked out of various stores carrying large and small bags. This time, he spent nearly 500,000 to prepare everything for Tang Yuxin. Various jewelry, cosmetics, and bags. He bought everything you could think of. While Tang Yuxin was trying on jewelry, Xiao Fei secretly bought an engagement ring at the counter next to him. Of course, he couldn't let Tang Yuxin know about this. When Xiao Fei and Tang Yuxin came out of the mall, it was already evening. Wife. Shall we eat out tonight? I looked at the time and went back to cook, but it was too late. So, Xiao Fei said to Tang Yuxin. Eating outside. Yeah, come to think of it, we haven't had a date outside yet. Hearing what Xiao Fei said, Tang Yuxin burst out laughing again. Then he pointed at the three babies in the stroller and said, How can anyone go on a date with babies? Aren't we? Looking at Xiao Fei's face approaching, Tang Yuxin's heart began to beat wildly again. Faced with Xiao Fei's gentle attack, Tang Yuxin felt that she was about to fall. Honey, do you want anything to eat? She shook her head to regain consciousness and asked Xiao Fei. Look at you. Xiao Fei said softly. Tang Yuxin thought for a moment, then blinked playfully. Then, how about we go eat Japanese food? Xiao Fei nodded and said with a smile, Okay, I remember there is a very famous Japanese restaurant in Modu, it seems to be called Kuroki Cuisine, let's go there to eat. Kuroki Cuisine is the most expensive Japanese restaurant in Shanghai and is known as the pinnacle of kaiseki cuisine. The average per capita consumption is as high as 3,000 yuan. Having stayed in Shanghai for so long, Tang Yuxin had of course heard of this store. She had wanted to try it for a long time. But unfortunately, I was short of money and I had 3 babies to raise, so I never had the chance to eat it. Now hearing Xiao Fei talk about it, she immediately became interested. Immediately, Xiao Fei drove the car, carrying Tang Yuxin and the 3 babies, towards the location of Kuroki Cuisine. Chapter 24 Store Anchor. 10 minutes later. Xiao Fei drove his wife and children to the restaurant entrance. As soon as they entered the door, 2 waiters in kimonos came over to greet them, bowed to Xiao Fei and said, "Welcome. Excuse me, would you two like to have dinner?" Xiao Fei nodded and said, "Well, I have already booked a seat online in advance." "Yes sir, please follow me." The waiter made a gesture of invitation to Xiao Fei with a smile on his face. Then he took small steps and brought Xiao Fei and Tang Yuxin to a tatami-like room. This room is decorated very elegantly. There are also several paintings from the Warring States period hanging on the wall. The curtains were drawn tightly, and as long as the door was closed, you could basically not see what the people inside were doing. On the dining table, there were several plates of exquisite fruit snacks and a pot of tea. Xiao Fei took Tang Yuxin and sat down. The 3 babies were placed on the tatami and allowed to move freely. At this moment, outside the room, a beautiful girl in a JK uniform suddenly passed by holding a selfie stick. "Good evening, everyone. Today I came to Kuroki Cuisine and I am going to take you to taste it. Is this Japanese restaurant, which claims to be the best in Shanghai, really that delicious?" The beautiful girl spoke to the camera while looking around. Judging from her appearance, she should be a store visitor. Just at this moment, she saw 3 babies in the tatami room. Seeing these 3 little angels, the beautiful girl couldn't help but exclaim, "Wow! What a cute baby!" Tang Yuxin was in a good mood when she saw someone praising her child. Originally, she was planning to close the door to prevent anyone passing by from disturbing the baby. But looking at the beautiful girl holding the selfie stick in front of them, the babies seemed very curious and kept blinking their eyes. So she gave up the idea of closing the door. "Thank you, you're cute too." Tang Yuxin politely replied to the beautiful girl. "We." Hearing the compliment, the beautiful girl seemed a little embarrassed. After all, the woman in front of him had been carefully dressed up by Xiao Fei. Her whole body exudes an aura like a flower from a high mountain, which makes people dare not look directly at her. "Sister, you are so beautiful." The beautiful girl said this subconsciously. Then, she looked at Xiao Fei opposite her, and hearts began to form in her eyes. "This little brother, are you a star?" "No." Xiao Fei raised his head and said to the beautiful girl. The next second, his extremely handsome face appeared in the live broadcast room. Suddenly, all the netizens in the live broadcast room were shocked. "Oh my god, who is this? He's so damn handsome, isn't he? He is even more handsome than myself, Daniel Wu. Such a handsome boy, I wonder if he has a girlfriend. I really want to give birth to a baby for him. Girls, stop talking, I'm fine now." "Huh? That's it. That big guy upstairs who picks his feet, stop pretending to be a cute girl. Wow, I think I saw a baby just now. Could it be that the little brother is already married and has a baby? I don't want to live anymore." Dense barrage of comments instantly filled the entire live broadcast room. Seeing this scene, the beautiful girl hurriedly moved her phone away and stopped taking pictures of Xiao Fei's family. This behavior made Xiao Fei nod secretly, thinking that she was sensible. "I'm sorry. I accidentally took your picture just now, I'm so sorry." Seeing the beautiful girl's guilty look, Tang Yuxin waved her hand and said, "It's okay, you didn't mean it." "Thank you, little sister." The beautiful girl nodded gratefully, then left with her phone. This little episode did not disturb Xiao Fei and Tang Yuxin, and soon the Japanese food they ordered was served. After a few bites, Tang Yuxin suddenly frowned. "What's wrong? Is it not tasty?" Tang Yuxin shook her head. "It's okay, but after eating the food you cooked, these things seem a bit too ordinary. If you like, I can cook it for you at home." Xiao Fei pointed at the food on the table and said with a smile, "Can you cook Japanese food?" Tang Yuxin looked a little surprised. "Look at what you said. Xiao Fei curled his lips and said confidently, I can cook the 8 major cuisines in China, as well as various foreign cuisines, including Japanese, French, and Vietnamese. Is this true? Tang Yuxin looked at him in disbelief. If you don't believe me, I'll make it for you some other day. Okay. Tang Yuxin nodded expectantly. Night. After returning home. The clothes I bought in the mall today have also been delivered. Xiao Fei accompanied Tang Yuxin back to her bedroom. I watched her put the clothes she bought today into the closet one by one. The wardrobe in the bedroom is custom made and is very large. Even if I put all the clothes I bought today in there, it wouldn't take up much space. Thank you, husband. After tidying up her clothes, Tang Yuxin turned around. She looked at him tenderly, her eyes filled with deep love. Seeing this, Xiao Fei naturally would not miss such a good opportunity. He walked forward, put his arms around Tang Yuxin's waist, and lowered his head to kiss her cherry lips. This kiss was very intense. Tang Yuxin was kissed so hard that she could hardly bear it. She felt as if her body was struck by an electric current. It felt numb and limp. Just when she felt she was about to fall. Only then did Xiao Fei let her go. Looking at Tang Yuxin, whose pretty face was flushed by his kiss, Xiao Fei said with a smile. Wife Tilder. You can go to work without makeup tomorrow. He pointed to the various cosmetics on the dressing table next to him. This is the cosmetics that Xiao Fei asked the store clerk to select for breastfeeding women when they were shopping in the mall today. Of course, the price is definitely much higher than usual. Tilder. Thank you, husband. Tang Yuxin snuggled in Xiao Fei's arms and spoke like a little wife. Not knowing what she was thinking of, Tang Yuxin suddenly said, by the way, husband, do you still remember the female anchor today? What's wrong? Xiao Fei asked curiously. I was just thinking about her, and it occurred to me, why don't we take some videos of the baby as well? I don't seek to make money, I just want to record my baby's daily life. The babies are so cute, they will definitely be very popular. Okay. Xiao Fei nodded. The urge to show off your child is a desire that every new parent has. Seeing that Xiao Fei agreed, Tang Yuxin kissed him again. Then she sat down in front of the dressing table and started to put on her makeup. Xiao Fei couldn't help but feel a little excited. It's easy to get into trouble if you put on makeup late at night. Tang Yuxin has great makeup skills and she finished her makeup in less than 10 minutes. She even ran to the bathroom, changed into a short skirt that she had just bought today, and walked out. When Xiao Fei saw Tang Yuxin with full makeup on, he was completely stunned. Tang Yuxin had long legs, smooth skin, and exquisite facial features. Especially the 2 plump breasts in front of her, standing proudly and seeming to burst out. It's so tempting. Husband Tilder. Let's start shooting the video. Tang Yuxin walked over and smiled sweetly at Xiao Fei. Xiao Fei was stunned for a moment. Then take out your phone and turn on the front camera. Tang Yuxin cleared her throat, looked at the camera, and began to introduce the 3 babies. She looked very sweet. Soon, the video was shot. But Tang Yuxin was in a dilemma. Honey, where do you think we should post the video? Xiao Fei hesitated for a moment, then said, how about posting it on Bilibili? I happen to have an account there. Immediately, Xiao Fei opened Bilibili. He changed his account name to 3 Treasures at Home and posted his first video. The video has just been released. The voice of the system came into Xiao Fei's mind. Drop. Congratulations to the host for completing the task of publishing a baby's life video for the first time. Reward, mastery of folk music. Note, parents are the best teachers for their children. Please work hard to unlock tasks, get more rewards, and strive to become an all-around dad who is proficient in music, chess, calligraphy and painting. Chapter 25. Which department is your girlfriend from? The system just finished speaking. A large amount of knowledge about folk music flooded into Xiao Fei's mind. Like the common guzheng, dongxiao, flute, erhu, pieper, etc. There are also some ethnic minority musical instruments. Xiao Fei mastered all the knowledge about these musical instruments. It can be said that he is comparable to a master of folk music. Xiao Fei has now mastered the knowledge of the 4 arts, music, chess, calligraphy and painting. According to the system's notes, if I continue to unlock tasks, won't I be able to get the next 3 items as well? It seems that it won't take long. You can become a master of national art. After acquiring the new skill, Xiao Fei felt itchy and wanted to find a guitar to try it out. Unfortunately, there are no musical instruments in the house. It seems that I have to buy some musical instruments to practice tomorrow. The next day. Even though it's the weekend. But Tang Yuxin still had to go back to school for a meeting. Xiao Fei left the baby to the care of Tang's mother and Aunt Wang, and drove Tang Yuxin to school himself. Taking advantage of her break in the meeting, Xiao Fei drove to a musical instrument store. With his proficiency in folk music, Xiao Fei's ability to appreciate musical instruments has also been greatly improved. He strolled around the store and selected the best guqin, guzheng, and various other traditional musical instruments. Then he drove back to the school parking lot and waited for Tang Yuxin to finish the meeting. With nothing to do, Xiao Fei took out his mobile phone and started playing Genshin Impact. Just started playing for a short while. Someone knocked on the car window. Xiao Fei looked up and found that it was Wu Zitao and Liu Chao. Rolling down the car window, Xiao Fei asked with a smile, "Why are you two here? Where's Bozy?" "Don't mention it." Liu Chao curled his lips and said, "Zhangbo has hooked up with a schoolgirl these days. We had agreed to go to the internet cafe to play games together today, but now I don't know where he is with that schoolgirl." Bozy is no longer single, that's a good thing. Xiao Fei said with some surprise. "I didn't expect that Zhangbo would find a girlfriend just a few days after I moved out. Let's find a time to get together and see what his girlfriend looks like." "Hey, sure." Wu Zitao took out a pack of Furongwang cigarettes and lit one for himself, while handing one to Liu Chao and Xiao Fei. Xiao Fei simply waved his hand. "For the sake of the baby, he can't smoke anymore. I quit." So sudden. Wu Zitao was a little surprised, but quickly turned the topic to Xiao Fei. "Speaking of which, Brother Xiao, do you have a girlfriend too?" Xiao Fei nodded. "Really?" Wu Zitao and Liu Chao looked at each other and asked gossipingly, "You moved out just to live with your girlfriend, right?" "I guess so." Xiao Fei did not hide it. "Okay, let's have a dorm party some other day, and you can bring your girlfriend along. Let's get together. Oh, by the way, which department is your girlfriend from?" Hearing this question, Xiao Fei was stunned for a moment. He thought for a moment and said, "I think he can be considered as one of our finance department." "What do you mean by should? Could it be that she is also a junior who just entered college?" Liu Chao and Wu Zitao were confused when they heard this, but they didn't pay too much attention to it. Anyway, by then, they will be able to meet Xiao Fei's girlfriend. "Brother Xiao, you parked the car here, are you waiting for your girlfriend?" Hey, then. Wu Zitao and Liu Chao immediately laughed wickedly. Having been in the same dormitory for 3 years, Xiao Fei certainly knew what they were laughing at. It seems that they will not leave until they see with their own eyes what their girlfriends look like today. The other side. Inside the school meeting room. Let's end today's meeting here. The meeting is adjourned. Following the principal's order, the teachers present began to clean up the things on their desks. Jiang Yu, who was sitting next to Tang Yuxin, nudged her with his elbow. "Teacher Tang. Why are you dressed so beautifully today?" Looking at Tang Yuxin beside him, Jiang Yu's face was full of envy. "Because she is so beautiful. On ordinary days, even without makeup, Tang Yuxin is already the most beautiful among all the girls. Today, she not only put on light makeup, but also changed into a Chanel suspender skirt. She looked so seductive. No way. It's not the same as usual." Jiang Yu heard this and a sly smile appeared on his face. She pointed at the necklace on Tang Yuxin's neck and the pendant on her ear and said with a smile, "This is different. Is this a gift from your husband?" Seeing that she was exposed, Tang Yuxin had no choice but to nod. "Your husband is so good to you. These shouldn't be cheap, right?" Tang Yuxin smiled and didn't respond. "All right. I have to go back first." She packed her things, stood up and prepared to leave the meeting room. "Hey, Mr. Tang, wait a minute. Today is a rare day off, shall we have dinner together tonight?" Jiang Yu held Tang Yuxin's hand, and several female teachers around her nodded. Obviously, they had colluded long ago. But Tang Yuxin shook her head. Xiao Fei was still waiting for her in the parking lot. She couldn't let her husband wait so long in vain. When I think of Xiao Fei, the corners of Tang Yuxin's mouth rose unconsciously. She showed a sweet and happy smile, which made Jiang Yu feel a little jealous. You smile so sweetly, you must want to go back to your husband as soon as possible, right? Yes. Tang Yuxin said frankly. Teacher Yuan Tong, who was sitting opposite Jiang Yu, interrupted. Teacher Tang, you are too blatant in spreading dog food. I, a married man, can't bear to see this. What are you going to do with those single teachers? That's right, you caused 1 billion critical hits to a single guy like me. I want compensation. Jiang Yu pretended to be dying and supported teacher Yuan. Okay. How do you want me to compensate you? Tang Yuxin asked with a smile. When Jiang Yu heard this, a sly smile appeared on his face and he said, I want to go to your house for dinner. Your husband's cooking skills are really great, just let me have a taste. Tang Yuxin was stunned when she heard this. Go to my house for a free meal? Wouldn't that expose me? Wait. Jiang Yu, like himself, only teaches freshmen. She didn't seem to know Xiao Fei. In this case, even if she went to his house for a meal, she wouldn't find anything, right? Hearing Jiang Yu say this, Yuan Shan, who also has a good relationship with Tang Yuxin, also became interested. These 2 days, she watched Tang Yuxin eat lunch in the office and was already very greedy. Yes, Mr. Tang. Just let us go to your house for a meal. These past 2 days, you brought your lunchbox to school, but it made us really hungry. Finished. If I remember correctly, Yuan Shan seemed to be the one teaching the third-year students. And he happens to be Xiao Fei's teacher, so there is a high possibility that he will recognize Xiao Fei. Although she teaches a public course with several classes gathered together, she may not be able to recognize all the students. But what if she remembered Xiao Fei? Tang Yuxin was panicking. But on the surface, he still pretended to be calm. It may not be possible today, my husband. Before Tang Yuxin could finish her words, her cell phone suddenly rang. When I took it out, I found that it was Xiao Fei calling. In desperation, Tang Yuxin had to walk out of the office and answer the phone. Jiang Yu poked his head out, looking curious. Hello, husband. I think it's almost time. Haven't you finished the meeting yet? Well, it's over. Okay then. I'll wait for you in the parking lot. One more thing, that is, my 2 roommates are here too. Tang Yuxin, are? Although Tang Yuxin had said before that it didn't matter even if their relationship was discovered. But at the critical moment, Tang Yuxin became worried again. If you still don't want to be exposed, I can let them go first. Hearing Xiao Fei say this, Tang Yuxin took a deep breath and seemed to have made up her mind. No, husband. I'll be right there. After hanging up the phone, Tang Yuxin turned around and waved to Jiang Yu and Yuan Shan. Okay, let's go. But let me make it clear in advance. My husband works very hard at cooking, so you all have to control yourself. TSK, I haven't even had the meal yet and I'm already feeling sorry for my husband. Jiang Yu couldn't help but complain. Then he walked up to her with a smile, took her arm, and left the meeting room together. On their way to the parking lot, Tang Yuxin prayed silently in her heart. I hope my husband won't be scared. Chapter 26 Relationship Exposed. School parking lot. Xiao Fei just hung up the phone. Wu Zitao and Liu Chao couldn't help but roll their eyes at Xiao Fei. Sure, brother Xiao. What else? If you don't want to be exposed, let's go first. You are forgetting your friendship for the sake of beauty. You forget your brothers because you have a woman, right? What are you talking about? Xiao Fei sat in the car and shrugged helplessly, saying, I say this because her identity is quite special. Never mind, you will know what's going on when you see it later. But I warn you in advance, don't spread it around. What nonsense are you talking about? Liu Chao and Wu Zitao were a little confused. You will find out soon. Xiao Fei kept the question in suspense. Soon. Not far away, 3 women with graceful figures walked towards this side. The sharp-eyed Wu Zitao recognized Tang Yuxin at once. Fuck. Look, isn't that Goddess Tang? At the entrance of the parking lot, Tang Yuxin and Jiang Yu were seen walking hand in hand, with Yuan Shan following behind them. The 3 of them walked towards Xiao Fei together. Teacher Tang is dressed so beautifully today. You are worthy of being my goddess. Wu Zitao was drooling at the sight. Xiao Fei glared at him with disdain, thinking he was truly worldly wise. At this moment, Tang Yuxin and the other two were getting closer and closer to where Xiao Fei parked his car. Wu Zitao and Liu Chao began to get a little nervous. Tang Yuxin is so beautiful today. Not only did she put on full makeup, she also wore an extremely sexy suspender skirt, and her two slender, white legs were exposed to the air without reservation. Her curvy figure becomes even more attractive with the short skirt. A head of long wavy hair casually draped over her shoulders. Their whole person looks extremely sexy and charming. Tang, Teacher Tang. Teacher Yuan. When Tang Yuxin came up to her, Wu Zitao immediately greeted her. Hello, classmate. Although she didn't know Wu Zitao and Liu Chao, Tang Yuxin still greeted them politely. Yuan Shan also nodded. Then, everyone saw Tang Yuxin wave to Xiao Fei in the car and said sweetly, "Honey, I'm here." Seeing this scene, everyone was collectively stunned. Huh? This is. What on earth is going on? Seeing Tang Yuxin calling Xiao Fei husband, Wu Zitao and Liu Chao's brains suddenly crashed. Did I hear it right? Could it be that the girlfriend Xiao Fei was talking about was Teacher Tang? At this time, Xiao Fei walked out of the car. He looked at Jiang Yu and Yuan Shan beside Tang Yuxin and greeted them politely. Teacher Jiang, Teacher Yuan, hello. Hello. Jiang Yu obviously didn't know Xiao Fei, but he greeted him foolishly. But Yuan Shan on the side narrowed her eyes. She had a deep impression of Xiao Fei. After all, Xiao Fei was so handsome, even if there were hundreds of people taking the open class. As a woman, our memories of handsome men are often more profound. But after taking the marrow cleansing pill, Xiao Fei's overall appearance has reached a new level. She was also a little unsure whether the boy in front of her was the student in her memory. Are you also a student of the Department of Finance? Didn't I teach you before? Teacher Yuan, the previous open class on the situation and policy was made possible thanks to your guidance. Xiao Fei admitted it very frankly. His words were like a bolt from the blue, hitting everyone hard on the head. Teacher Tang, he is your husband. At this time, Jiang Yu seemed to realize that something was wrong, and turned to ask Tang Yuxin. Tang Yuxin nodded. Then he walked up to Xiao Fei, took his arm, and said slowly, "Let me introduce you. This is my husband and the father of my child, Xiao Fei." The father of the child. Teacher Tang, you have a child. Jiang Yu looked at Tang Yuxin in disbelief and asked. She never expected that she had a better figure and a better appearance than herself. As soon as she entered the school, Tang Yuxin was respected as the goddess teacher by all the teachers and students. They even have a baby? Let's get in the car. Hubby, Teacher Jiang and Teacher Yuan said they want to come to our house for dinner. Yes, welcome. Xiao Fei smiled and nodded. Wu Zitao and Liu Chao on the side heard this and hurriedly said, Brother Xiao, we want to go too. Xiao Fei looked at them with disdain and warned them, you can go, but you are not allowed to smoke in my house, understand? Okay, everything is for the children. The two of them said with a grin. Then he opened the car door and sat in the back seat first. Fortunately, Xiao Fei's car is a 7-seater SUV, so there is no problem in seating 6 people. But I saw 3 safety seats in the car. Jiang Yu couldn't sit still anymore and asked curiously, Teacher Tang, you have 3 children? Yes, they are triplets. They are all very cute. When you see them later, you will definitely be fascinated by them. I heard they were triplets. Liu Chao and Wu Zitao looked at Xiao Fei as if they were looking at a god. Not only did he win the goddess teacher, and let her give birth to 3 babies in one go? Brother Xiao, when did you meet Teacher Tang? We don't know. Xiao Fei, who was driving, said without turning his head, I met Yuxin a year ago when I went back to my hometown to attend a friend's birthday party. Xiao Fei said evasively. Everyone just assumed that they met each other through friends. After some conversation, the surprise on everyone's faces gradually faded. After all, we are all adults, and we often hear news about teachers and students having romances in schools. What's more, Tang Yuxin and Xiao Fei are less than 5 years apart in age. Even getting married and having children is not a strange thing. Soon, the car drove into Jinyu Huafu. Wow, Teacher Tang. You actually live in this neighborhood. Jiang Yu said in surprise, the housing prices here shouldn't be cheap, right? Well, it's quite expensive. Tang Yuxin nodded and explained, this house was bought by Xiao Fei. I didn't know it before. If I knew, I would definitely not buy it. Is the mortgage very stressful? How much do I have to pay back every month? Yuan Shan cares more about this issue than others. Tang Yuxin smiled and said, there is no mortgage. Xiao Fei paid for it in full. Everyone opened their mouths and gasped. No. Brother Xiao, are you so rich? Wu Zitao and Liu Chao couldn't help but complain. Not long ago, I just bought a Land Rover Defender. Now, I have bought another house in Shanghai, and it is a river view house. Writing online articles is really profitable. If I had known this would happen, why would I have gone to college? Chapter 27. I'm full just by eating dog food. After parking the car, Xiao Fei returned home with a large group of people. As soon as I entered the door, I heard Erbao crying. Xiao Fei quickly changed his shoes, put down the guzheng he had just bought and some other musical instruments, and walked towards the living room. At this time, Tang's mother was holding her second baby and coaxing him. Auntie, let me do it. Xiao Fei walked over and took Erbao. Then he reached out and gently scratched Erbao's nose. Erbao, who was originally crying with tears in his eyes, stopped crying immediately when he saw his father appear. The little hands tightly grasped Xiao Fei's clothes and looked at Xiao Fei eagerly. It seems like he is complaining, why did his father come back only now? Good boy Tilder. Don't cry, Dad is back. Xiao Fei spoke softly while comforting Erbao. Auntie, what happened to Erbao? Why are you crying so hard? Tang's mother waved her hands and said helplessly, I don't know either. After you left, she refused to drink milk or sleep, and kept squirming in bed. But she stopped crying when you came back. It seems like she missed her daddy. I see. Xiao Fei lowered his head and looked at his second baby who fell asleep in his arms in an instant. He made a secret decision in his mind. After a while, when Tang's mother returns, he will definitely take leave to stay at home and take care of the baby full time. At this time, Tang Yuxin, Jiang Yu and others also walked in from outside. Seeing so many people gathered, Tang's mother asked in surprise. Who are these people? Tang Yuxin introduced casually, Mom, these two are my colleagues, Jiang Yu and Yuan Shan, and the other two are Xiao Fei's college roommates, they are. Hello, Auntie. My name is Wu Zitao. Hello, Auntie. My name is Liu Chao. Before Tang Yuxin could speak, the two roommates introduced themselves politely. But at this time, they were obviously shocked by Xiao Fei's luxurious house. How big is this house? Looking at the huge living room in front of him, Jiang Yu couldn't help but ask. Tang Yuxin smiled and said, about 280 square meters, nearly 300 square meters. How much will this cost? After hearing this, Yuan Shan asked in surprise. A community like Jinyu Huafu, located on the bank of the Huangpu River, is extremely expensive and land is very valuable. Moreover, from the balcony of this house, you can directly see the entire Huangpu River and overlook the most prosperous night view of the entire Magic City. It is one of the best apartments in the community. It must be tens of millions, right? On their way here just now, Tang Yuxin said that Xiao Fei bought it in full. This is too rich. You guys chat. I'll go cook first. Yuxin, what do you want to eat tonight? I can do anything. Tang Yuxin said with a smile. Hey. Brother Xiao, why don't you ask me? When Wu Zitao saw that Xiao Fei didn't even ask him a question, he immediately got angry. It's good enough for you to eat. Still whining. Xiao Fei glanced at him unhappily and walked into the kitchen. Not long after, there was a series of ping-pong sounds coming from the kitchen. Tang Yuxin took Jiang Yu and three others to tour the house. The more they looked, the more surprised the expressions on their faces became. Brother Xiao's house is really big. Wu Zitao sighed and looked around the room. His eyes were full of envy. Yes, the key location is still so good. I'm so envious. Yuan Shan said with some emotion. After touring their house, the four of them, led by Tang Yuxin, played with the three babies for a while. Seeing these three cute little angels, Jiang Yu and Yuan Shan were instantly fascinated by them. I wanted to take a sack and steal the three cute kids back. Even Wu Zitao and Liu Chao, two straight men, showed a fatherly smile on their faces. Is this Brother Xiao's cub? She's so cute, even more handsome than Brother Xiao. Yes, look at this Dabao, when he grows up, he will charm thousands of girls, right? Alas. After seeing Brother Xiao's cub, I dare not have children anymore, for fear that they will continue the life of an old father like me. That's right, let's just stay single. The four of them were teasing Sanbao while chatting. Soon, Xiao Fei prepared dinner. Looking at the table full of sumptuous dishes, Jiangyu and his friends' jaws dropped and their stomachs began to growl. However, Tang's mother and the other two, who had long been accustomed to Xiao Fei's cooking, seemed very calm. Honestly, Mr. Tang, I really envy you. Not only is your husband handsome, but is also such a great cook. How do you want me to live? Tang Yuxin felt very proud when she heard others praising her husband. Don't just stand there. Hurry up and sit down and eat. Tang Yuxin greeted everyone and sat down at the dining table. The four of them couldn't wait any longer and wanted to feast on the food. Seeing Tang Yuxin take the lead in picking up her chopsticks, she picked up a piece of sweet and sour pork ribs and put it in Xiao Fei's bowl. Everyone started to taste the food. He kept praising the food while eating it. It smells so good. This boiled fish is even more delicious than Tyre's. It's amazing. I've never eaten such delicious food in my life. I want another bowl. Let me die of fullness tonight. Brother Xiao, it would be a waste if you don't open a shop with your skills. Faced with everyone's praise, Xiao Fei smiled and shook his head. He was no longer surprised. While everyone was wolfing down the food, Tang Yuxin's hands were not idle either, and she kept picking up food for Xiao Fei. You've worked so hard cooking so many dishes. Eat quickly. Xiao Fei looked at the mountain of food in his bowl and smiled bitterly. However, my wife's love is heavy. Of course he had to accept it all. So he picked up his chopsticks and started working hard. During this process, Tang Yuxin seemed to be afraid that others would finish the food and leave her husband hungry. He kept picking up dishes from under other people's chopsticks and putting them into Xiao Fei's bowl. During this time, he was also poured a full bowl of chicken soup. Seeing this scene, Jiangyu couldn't help but roll his eyes. Teacher Tang, do you want to do this? We're still eating. If you keep doing this, I'll be full just from eating dog food. Facing Jiangyu's complaints, Tang Yuxin smiled and said, that's perfect. Xiao Fei can eat more. How vicious. Jiangyu covered his chest and began to act wildly. I feel bad for my husband, what's wrong? Tang Yuxin said with a slightly blushing face. This was the first time that she formally called Xiao Fei husband in front of so many people. Hearing this, Xiao Fei's hand holding the chopsticks paused and he couldn't help but smile on his face. Seeing the two of them sitting together, constantly showing their love and exuding the sour smell of love, Tang's mother's face was full of relief. Others, on the other hand, were extremely envious and jealous. I had no choice but to turn my grief and anger into strength and stuff the food into my mouth as hard as I could. They have to fill their stomachs before the dog food is thrown to them. Chapter 28. How about we go together? After dinner, Jiangyu and three other friends stayed in the living room, playing with the three babies for a while before getting ready to leave. Before leaving, Jiangyu bravely said to Tang Yuxin, Teacher Tang, can you ask your husband to make a lunchbox for me in the future? I can pay for it. What do you think? Tang Yuxin gave her a look. Okay, but after eating the food your husband cooked, I can't eat anything else. What should I do? I'll be hungry later. Jiangyu pouted her lips, looking aggrieved, trying to win Tang Yuxin's sympathy. That's perfect. Don't you say you want to lose weight all day long? Tang Yuxin replied jokingly. Facing Tang Yuxin's teasing, Jiangyu hurriedly waved his hands and admitted defeat. Forget it. I don't have the good fortune to do so. Teacher Tang, and classmate Xiao, thank you for your hospitality today. We'll be leaving first. Walk slowly, Tilda. After sending all the people away, Tang Yuxin closed the door, turned around, hugged Xiao Fei, and gave him a kiss. Honey, are you tired from cooking so many dishes today? Not tired. In the living room, I saw two people standing at the door, looking at each other affectionately. Tang's mother's desire to go home became stronger. Night. The family sat on the sofa and watched TV happily. Tang's mother suddenly spoke. Yuxin, Xiao Fei. Seeing you guys living such a happy life, I feel relieved. Hearing this, Tang Yuxin and Xiao Fei turned around, looking a little confused. Tang's mother continued, I came here specially because I was worried about Yuxin. But now, I feel relieved to have you taking care of Yuxin. So I want to go back first. After all, Yuxin's father is still home alone. I heard my mother say she wanted to go back. Although Tang Yuxin was a little reluctant, she also understood. But the next second, Tang's mother suddenly said, Xiao Fei, Yuxin, when are you going to go home together? Tang Yuxin subconsciously glanced at Xiao Fei. Xiao Fei thought for a while, then said, Auntie, the children are still young, it is not appropriate for them to take a plane or a high-speed train. So I plan to buy an RV after a while. Then we'll take Yuxin back together. Finally, Xiao Fei added another sentence. Go back and propose marriage. Hear these 4 words. Tang Yuxin covered her mouth with her hand, her face full of emotion. When Tang's mother heard Xiao Fei's words, the heavy stone in her heart was finally put down. She nodded and said, Okay, Xiao Fei, since you said so, I feel relieved. I will buy a plane ticket and go back tomorrow to do some ideological work on Yuxin's father. Don't worry, Auntie. Xiao Fei smiled and said, As for my uncle, no matter how much he dislikes me, I will just bear with it. I won't fight back when he hits me, and I won't say anything back when he scolds me. It's not that serious. Mother Tang's eyes almost narrowed from laughing. That old guy has a sharp tongue but a soft heart. In fact, he has already forgiven Yuxin a long time ago. You don't know, this time when I came here, he secretly slipped me a bank card and asked me to give the money to Yuxin, and he didn't let me tell Yuxin that the money was from him. Hearing this, Tang Yuxin and Xiao Fei both smiled helplessly. Before going to bed, Xiao Fei quietly slipped into Tang's mother's room. Xiao Fei, what can I do for you? Seeing Xiao Fei coming to see her alone, Tang's mother asked in confusion. Auntie, it's like this. Xiao Fei looked outside the door and whispered, When is Yuxin's birthday? Oh, this. Hearing this, Tang's mother immediately understood. If I remember correctly, in 3 days, it will be Yuxin's birthday. When Xiao Fei found out Tang Yuxin's birthday, he was delighted. That's perfect. I plan to propose to Yuxin in the next 2 days. Since her birthday is in 3 days, I will propose to her on her birthday. Hearing that Xiao Fei was going to propose to his daughter, Tang's mother became more and more satisfied. Leave Tang's mother's room. Xiao Fei returned to his bedroom. I just happened to see 3 little babies entertaining themselves on the bed. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Xiao Fei opened the door and saw that it was Tang Yuxin. At this time, she was wearing a silk pajamas, and it seemed that there was still nothing inside. She stood outside the door, looking at Xiao Fei shyly. Honey, are you tired today? It's fine, what's wrong? Xiao Fei hugged Tang Yuxin and kissed her on the face. The more Tang Yuxin spoke, the redder her face became. At the end, she said in a voice as thin as a mosquito, Do you want to take a shower first? The bathtub in my bedroom is very comfortable for taking a bath. You don't seem to have used any. Hearing this, Xiao Fei showed a meaningful smile on his face. He put his arm around Tang Yuxin's waist, pressed her against the wall, and said in an extremely ambiguous tone. Sure, but it's so boring to take a bath alone. How about, we go together? Well. Tang Yuxin lowered her head shyly, not knowing what she was thinking. After a long time, she finally hummed softly. Seeing this, Xiao Fei was overjoyed. He quickly picked her up and walked towards the master bedroom bathroom. The 2 of them took a bath in the bathroom for a full 2 hours. In the end, Tang Yuxin's face was red from washing and she felt a little overwhelmed, so she walked out holding onto the wall. She climbed onto the bed and fell into a deep sleep. Xiao Fei put on his clothes and moved the crib from his bedroom to Tang Yuxin's room. Then he put the 3 babies in and fell asleep in Tang Yuxin's arms. Of course, I slept for half an hour. Xiao Fei regained his energy. He also has to keep watch over the babies. Like before, Xiao Fei stayed by the beds of the 3 babies, playing King of Glory while looking after them. From time to time, he glanced at Tang Yuxin who was sleeping soundly on the bed. As the sky gradually brightened, Xiao Fei suddenly heard the voice of the system in his ears. Drop. Congratulations to their host for completing their Spend a Week with the Baby mission. Reward, Martial Arts Master. With this skill, their host will gain superb martial arts, be able to better protect his wife and baby, and stand up in times of crisis. The system just finished speaking. Xiao Fei's muscles tensed up instantly. A powerful aura surged out from him. Xiao Fei suddenly opened his eyes, and two beams of light burst out, like two sharp swords. He felt that even if he met boxing champion Tyson or Wudang master Zhang Sanfeng, he would be able to knock them down. After all, in addition to being a martial arts master, he also took the marrow cleansing pill. On physical fitness, I guess there is no one in the entire Blue Star who can compare to him. With this skill, Xiao Fei will be able to protect his baby and wife when they are in danger in the future. Chapter 29: The Shaking RV. The next day. Finish breakfast. Xiao Fei drove Tang Yuxin and Tang's mother away from home. He first sent Tang Yuxin to school, and then turned around and took Tang's mother to the Magic City airport. Tang's mother had already bought the plane ticket last night. Arrived at the ticket gate, Xiao Fei looked at Tang's mother and said with a smile, "Auntie, be careful on the road. Remember to let us know you are safe when you land." "Okay, Xiao Fei, go back quickly. I'm going in." After watching Tang's mother walk into the ticket gate, Xiao Fei turned around and left the airport. Today is Monday. Although he had classes in the morning, Xiao Fei did not plan to go. He planned to only attend the key professional courses in the future and skip all the others. He spent the extra time at home taking care of the baby. He had discussed this decision with Tang Yuxin last night. Although Tang Yuxin was still worried that this would affect Xiao Fei's studies. But under Xiao Fei's repeated insistence, and because he was exhausted last night, she agreed. Xiao Fei felt very relaxed as he didn't have to go to class. Drive directly back to Golden Mile, Washington. After parking the car, he did not rush back, but took out his mobile phone and looked at the stocks he held. Last week the system rewarded him 5 million, plus the money he earned from stock trading. Xiao Fei directly invested all of his 10 million yuan in the stock market. If nothing unexpected happens, in a few days, the 10 million will increase in value to 18 million. Net profit of 8 million. Thinking of this, Xiao Fei couldn't help but smile. Sure enough, with sufficient funds, making money became easier. This is also the reason why the assets of rich people will continue to increase even if they do nothing. As for JP Morgan Chase's shares, there are still several months before this year's dividends are distributed. Xiao Fei had long forgotten about this matter and pretended that he didn't have this thing. Back home, Xiao Fei saw Aunt Wang feeding Sanbao. "Auntie Wang, thank you for your hard work." "Mr. Xiao." Seeing Xiao Fei suddenly coming back, Aunt Wang asked with some surprise. "Don't you have class today?" "Yes." Xiao Fei nodded and said with a smile, "But I want to go home and take care of the baby. I won't go to those unimportant classes." "I see." Aunt Wang looked thoughtful. Xiao Fei walked up, hugged the three little babies, and kissed them on the face in turn. Just then, the system's voice sounded. "Drop. Congratulations to the host for completing the task of making the baby a little famous and having over 1,000 fans. Reward, a Concorde RV worth 5 million. Note, the RV has been parked in the community parking space, all relevant procedures are complete, the driving license is placed in the storage box, the vehicle has been fully insured, and the fuel tank is full." Hear the sound of the system. Xiao Fei was stunned for a moment. Then a smug smile appeared on his face. "I was thinking about whether I should buy an RV so that I can take my baby to meet my parents-in-law. As a result, the system now directly rewards one car. This is really a timely help." Out of curiosity, Xiao Fei returned to his room, turned on his laptop, and logged into the back end of Station B. "I found that the number of followers of my account had indeed increased to more than 1,500. The number of video comments and comments gradually increased. Most of them are talking about babies. Of course, many people are also very interested in Tang Yuxin, praising her for being the most beautiful mother on Bilibili and saying things like she maintains a great figure." Looking at the backstage, Xiao Fei became a little confused. More than 1,500 fans. However, the system said that the baby's number of fans had just exceeded 1,000. Doesn't that mean that the extra 500 fans are not following the baby, but his wife? Interesting. Xiao Fei had been wondering before, if he posted a video of his baby and got attention, would he get a reward? I didn't expect it, but it turned off the computer. Xiao Fei came to the living room and told Aunt Wen that he was going downstairs. Then I changed my shoes and went to the parking lot. Sure enough, in another parking space, I saw a container-sized RV. I took out my keys. Xiao Fei walked straight in. Seeing the interior decoration of the RV, Xiao Fei couldn't help but exclaimed. Isn't this too luxurious? The spacious interior space has no barriers in the middle. The space behind the cab is fully utilized to facilitate the activities of passengers in the car, and two spacious sofas provide a comfortable resting space. The kitchen is small but fully functional. Stoves and sterilizing cabinets are fully equipped to meet simple cooking needs. In the bedroom, the double bed has a unique design with a canopy design. At night, lying in the RV and looking up at the stars must be a different experience. It's worthy of being a $5 million RV. System, give you a thumbs up. Xiao Fei couldn't help but say something in his heart. After visiting the RV, Xiao Fei returned home and looked at the three babies on the sofa. He couldn't help but pick them up again and kiss them one by one. Mr. Xiao. You really love children. Antoine stood aside and said enviously. My babies are my lucky stars. How could I not love them? Xiao Fei replied with a smile. Evening. Xiao Fei went to the school to pick up Tang Yuxin on time. On their way back, Xiao Fei said mysteriously, Wife, I will give you a surprise later. What's the surprise? Tang Yuxin asked curiously. She was originally thinking that she would be able to go home and see her baby soon. As a result, when she heard Xiao Fei's words, her attention was immediately drawn to him. You'll find out soon. Xiao Fei kept the question in suspense. Oh. Seeing that Xiao Fei didn't say anything, Tang Yuxin didn't ask any more questions. Wait until you get home. I saw the RV parked in my parking space. Tang Yuxin was completely stunned, and subconsciously covered her mouth and said. Is this our RV? It's so huge. Tang Yuxin was so excited that she almost screamed. She ran over impatiently, walked around the entire RV, and then said, Honey, open the door quickly and let me go in and take a look. Okay, Tilda. Xiao Fei treated him like a child. He led Tang Yuxin into the car and let her take a look around. Tang Yuxin was like Granny Liu entering the Grand View Garden. Everything she saw was new to her. She looked left and right, touched things, ran into the bedroom, and then slipped into the bathroom. Finally, she hugged Xiao Fei's neck excitedly. Husband Tilda. When did you buy it? Xiao Fei touched her face and said with a smile, I just bought it today. I made some money from stock trading a few days ago, and I used it to buy an RV. With this car, I can drive it. Take him to meet my parents, and your parents, and then go get our marriage certificate. From now on, our family can go out to travel anytime and anywhere whenever we want. It's a real trip that we can take whenever we want. After listening to what Xiao Fei said, the expectant expression on Tang Yuxin's face became more and more intense. She couldn't help but stand on tiptoe and give Xiao Fei a gentle kiss on the face. Hubby, you're awesome. There are many more great things about me. Looking at the pretty lady in front of him, Xiao Fei was somewhat moved. After saying that, he picked her up by the waist and walked into the bedroom of the RV. Then, closed the door tightly. Honey, we're still in the car. What are you afraid of? There's a bed anyway. Soon, this RV weighing several tons began to shake in place. It shook for more than half an hour. Only then did Xiao Fei help Tang Yuxin, whose legs were weak, back home. Entering the living room, seeing Tang Yuxin walking in a strange posture, Antoine asked with concern. Miss Tang, are you okay? No, it's okay. Tang Yuxin glared at Xiao Fei unhappily. It's all your fault. Like a bull, he just charges forward.